All right. Now we're moving.
How come you lean forward and I lean back? Why? I have a tendency.
Well, I'll tell you exactly why. Because I'm sitting on this. It's called a kneeling chair.
Oh, so you get the good chair, and your guest.
It's the healthy chair.
Your guests have to move around like it's Roland Garros.
Yeah, I make sure you get out of here with lower back pain.
I've already got that.
Yeah, and I'll just step out. Kind of like right posture, correct posture.
Thanks for helping out. Certainly my chiropractor will appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah, they're snakes, man. I don't know if it's a real practice or not. Well,
it's established, so it must be real because I saw it on the internet.
Yeah, exactly. They say it on the news. No, it's fun. First of all, it feels good, period. So there's no argument there.
Okay, yeah.
That's true. But there's
results.
Yeah, there's a.
What about results?
It's true. Yeah, if you come out happy, that works, right?
See, I've always felt that way when I was dating. It was the same way, and I'm not even kidding around. When I was a teenager, I quickly figured out all the guys chasing Barbies.
Right.
I really didn't have an interest in the Barbies. I just wanted a girl that was going to make me feel good on so many levels. Dead serious. I mean, serious.
It's not that complicated.
No, it's really not that complicated. When you get to like age 19, you're like, wow, I'm having a good time. And you see your guys, they're getting ready for the big go out weekend.
Right.
You know what? Here's the deal. Every day's the weekend if you play your cards right. If you have limitations, you're going to have to wait till Friday night.
Can I pour you some coffee?
Oh, please. If you're not pouring coffee, I'm not staying.
Yeah.
That's probably
that's why I brought a lot.
It's a new rule. Is that biscotte or what do we have here? What's the
It's Belvita.
Yes.
We're not sponsored, but it's tasty as hell. So
not sponsored by Belvita, ladies and gentlemen. Very good.
And under that is some chocolate covered espresso beans. So we don't mess around when it comes to treats. No, you're not.
This is highfalutin right here.
Well,
I might come back.
Hey, that's the point. So we're trying to lure you in.
Can I lie and say it's my first time here?
No, that was my next point. Chuck Turner, nobody will ever know.
So
Maybe we'll have some behind the scenes that you've been here before.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
And the production just went to crap, thanks to me.
So, can we assume that if with two people in the room, one fucked up the production? It should have been me doing it.
Hey,
somehow it would have been worse.
I just stole that from you, but that's what I do. So yeah, we're good now, and the point is, I'm happy you came back, and we can do this again.
I'm glad to be back, my friend.
Yeah,
I enjoyed the first time very much.
Well, me too. And I think the special thing about the first time is the universe decided it's going to be our personal conversation.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Little background there is.
By the way, cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
For a good morning.
Good morning. Little background. We've only met once, and that was when we did the taping.
Right.
Which was really enjoyable. But like you said, the universe puts things a certain way, and it was a conversation.
They had a different plan for us.
Yeah, it's fine. No skin. That's what they said. No skin off my nose. And one home was like, "Wow, honey, we went from 6:15 and what was it, 9:45?"
I think we went 3 hours and some. Yeah.
It was pretty incredible. I was really impressed. And you told me it's going to fly, and it did. I really enjoyed it, so it was great.
Yeah, we probably will have a little bit more awareness to time this morning.
Yeah,
because we're drinking coffee and not whiskey.
And our bowels, yeah. Yeah, I'm like after 68 minutes, I'm going to give you the high sign.
Right.
This has been fun.
Hey, break 5. Yeah, I had a guy here last week. He's a amazing historian I told you about. He's been through a lot, and I'm actually just editing multiple episodes that we recorded. And he would just be like, clearly just stating, "Hey, let's take 5 right now. Gotta pee."
That's it. Yeah, nature does call.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't care. I mean, this is not some type of a politically correct podcast. We can go take a piss.
No, I've done that since I was a kid. Drinking liquids. I never held a lot of liquids. It wasn't my thing, to really get into this part of it. But so getting older, get your prostate checked. Okay, first of all, I got my prostate checked. I've gone through the whole schmeal. Everything's fine.
Right.
So it really is just my physiological thing.
Right. Some people just don't hold that much.
I could drink coffee, but I got to use the bathroom. I could drink beer. I could hold my beers, like, as far as not getting really,
Right.
messed up too bad, but I got to use the bathroom.
Right.
And I always typically do a one drink for one water. It's what I do.
Yeah.
I've done that. And I don't
That's
get
smart
hangovers.
with coffee, with drinks, whatever.
Don't get hangovers.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%.
And you've bought us some water.
Of course.
Very nice.
Courtesy of the house.
Is there a porta potty outside?
We're still working on that.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I agree 100%. But for me, I got the other side of the equation where it's not a physiological thing because I used to be able to hold a lot
Sure.
and just turned 30, and it was just waking up every night to go to pee.
Wow.
Yeah, but I do hydrate heavily because I like to work out and I like to stay. I don't like that yellow stuff, So I keep it.
You
Keep
like
it
it
hydrated.
clear. You want it clear.
Yeah, I like a hydrated body. I just don't feel good. As soon as I'm even remotely close to not well hydrated, start getting headaches and everything. So
Yeah.
for me, I drink a lot of water, or at least I try to.
Good move.
Yeah. And of course I do it right before I go to sleep too. So I wake up in the middle of the night, and it's what I have to do. But
it's healthy.
it's a routine now, and also take the dog out to pee because they're gonna wake me up anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
so-
a good move. The small one and the big one.
Both. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
If I can drag the small one out of bed because she cuddles, for the warmth.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah,
Can I tell you an inappropriate story about all this?
always.
So
preferably
I was
inappropriate.
in boot camp in Great Lakes, 1985, and I was 25 years old. I'd gotten out of the casinos. It was my move to change my life completely, to go in the Navy. And we're in boot camp, and you get up, you get mustered. Muster meaning you have your get together. I'm just being very general about that. And then during the course of the day, we got marched to lunch and then marched back, and didn't get a bathroom, didn't get a head break. So we get sat down, and Petty Officer Sims is the one petty officer, and then there's Petty Officer Simmy, nickname for first name, Simmons. Simmy Cannon is their other petty officer.
Yeah.
Simmy Cannon's doing this big, they're doing their whatever they did, presentation, teaching, whatever. We're all sitting crisscross applesauce, legs across. After lunch, no head break. He's an hour and a half in the presentation, and he knows what he's going to get. And he's getting it.
Yo.
Petty Officer Cannon, his head. So Petty Officer Cannon was an old school Navy guy, African-American guy, and he had a way of saying things that would cut you right down. Boy, whip your dick out, stick it in the air, piss, and catch it in your mouth.
Not exactly what you had planned.
I didn't have that plan, and then you look around at people, and you're not supposed to laugh. You're supposed to just
Welcome
take
to
it.
the Navy.
Welcome to the Navy. An hour later, you got guys with wet pants. You got guys with wet pants. I mean, more than just 2 or 3. And then it's up and go. And the teacher,
That wouldn't fly today.
no, it wouldn't fly today at all. So that was enlightening. I did want to change a life, so to speak, and I certainly started to get it in boot camp.
I hear you loud and clear. Coffee's good?
Coffee's wonderful.
Good.
What are we talking about today? Certainly
Well-
not Simmy Cannon.
Well, yeah. I mean, it could be, but it would be a waste of value here. We got some more important things to cover. So the reason this is even happening is because your book was brought to my attention by my wife.
Yeah.
Who just happens to meet you in the most, unexpected circumstance.
Can you explain that so people don't think it's weird? We were jumping out of a plane together
Right.
over top
Yeah. No.
Tibet.
Absolutely. So you also drive as a side hustle,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Good money.
it is good money. I did that for a while.
Yeah.
Um,
I really enjoy it.
and I think it's not only a good side hustle, it's also really fun for people that like talking to people.
Yes.
But before we get sidetracked on, Uber, Lyft stories, so she's driving with you to the airport, and she texts me from inside your car, dude, you can't believe this guy. He has these stories about, Jersey and, mobsters and, Italian lifestyle and da-da-da. You have to have him on the podcast. And I was like, take a card and tell him about the podcast. So
She did?
and she did. And she told me he seems interested. So I was like, okay, we're going to lock it down. So
Cool, yeah.
as soon as we came back from California, where she was flying to meet me, back home in Colorado where we live, then I hit you up and I was like, yo, you barely know me, but let's do this.
Yeah, yeah. And I said, yes.
Right. And yeah, it's just because I'm fascinated by that type of shift. Like some people dedicate their life, like these classic stories of writers, and they sit down under the tree and they come up with this thing.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever, poets and people that, really dedicate their life to the art
Sure.
of writing.
Sure.
And then there's somebody that lived the story,
Mm-hmm.
and the story was so intense that he said, I got to write it down.
Yeah. Yeah.
You fall more under that category.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And clearly. And this one seems thicker than what happened here.
Well, welcome to the world of dealing with the big South American,
Camera.
the big South American river company, who runs the world. Welcome to that world, because you have the first version,
Yeah.
and then we did some editing. And when you do editing with those people, they send you a product that looks different each time. It's the way it is. Now, if you go get a publisher,
Interesting.
you're going to get probably 100% consistency. When you go through the hoops and loops,
Doing it yourself.
I'm telling you, I could talk about it for a long time. I'm just going to say, trying to get this product consistent each time to look the same way is very, very difficult. And that's the short version of a very long story.
Yeah. But it comes with pros and cons, I believe.
Absolutely pros and cons.
You get some freedom.
Absolutely. Freedom, affordability, the list goes on. But you must be willing to understand that this book doesn't look like that book for a good reason. And I wish I could go into the deep details. Anyway, there's that. So made some changes. Unfortunately, I put some things in the book that weren't quite tweaked the way I liked them to be. For instance, someone's name. I put a name and it's a real name, and I did not want that. And it was nothing against him. Just on principle, I needed to change it. The last name went from Smith to Lake, because great experiences with a gentleman in my life, and I want to tribute and honor him correctly by not stealing things from him, but yet doing the homage and telling the story so he can really go, oh, that's me, but not, oh my God, he stole my name. I don't want that at all.
Okay.
It's just not.
Out of respect.
Yeah. That's the second book that just came out. So there you go. There.
Nice. And there's more you're working on.
Yeah, right now I'm on book 3. So the title of the first one is Greetings from South Jersey, Casino Boy. That introduces the character and the whole concept of a young man growing up in South Jersey and the influences he sees. 2 is when he starts getting into more of the dirty life. He's had some experiences himself. He's been influenced by some people that teach him that life, needed the harder edge, and he starts going to that life. And then the conclusion is where you turn the corner and see what he's changed in a sense. Now 3, I'm moving into more of the classic story of South Jersey, where the people that are trying to take and rule from the organized crime sense are moving in. And I'm going to have it where it's the old Irish political machine within the state butting heads against the new king of the Italian organized crime. They're going to do the sit down and talk about how they're going to make things work. And of course, I'm not going to give it away. I'm just saying that's what's going on there. What's fascinating is, because you and I talked about it, I have a character that comes in book 3 who is Israeli. He was in the Shin Bet, SHIN space BET. And I saw there's another name for Shin Bet. Maybe that's the name that would click better. It's not Mossad. There's 3 different levels of security. God, I'm going to start telling you Israeli history. Please don't stop me. So me telling you Israeli.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's ex-Shin Bet, and he leaves, and now he's doing, he runs a security firm in southern Florida. His name's been Angloed from Chaim Ezra to Charlie Eastman, but he still
sounds Jewish as...
Yeah, but he's in southern Florida. He's in South Florida. He runs a security firm, and what happens is he also is for hire. That's his side thing. Is he's for hire. He's a hitter. So I'm moving Chaim Ezra into the story. He's going to play quite an integral part. But knowing the history of the United States and East Coast and some of the things that have taken place within that whole region, I'm bringing some of those stories in. Yeah. People will get it as soon as they see what he's doing and who he's getting his stuff from. They're going to go, oh, God, I'm always trying to tie history into, a fictional element so people can get the timing. Certain aquatic life that might be a particular issue right now, and that region of the world. I'm bringing that in as part of my storyline of one of Heim's weapons, so to speak. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can't disclose any names of organizations on air, but I'll tell you later what it is. My dad would kill me.
So you're going to talk about the big river in South America, right? Can we say that name?
Sure. Yeah.
The Nile.
The Nile we can disclose.
We can disclose the Nile, yeah. And I see guys driving around, Eritrean and Ethiopian guys with, there's a company in town called Blue Nile. I believe that's the part where the Nile is more southern. So Ethiopian, Eritrea, and all that area of the world. So I see Blue Nile. I was like, what is a Blue Nile?
Yeah.
I just always heard of the Nile.
Maybe there's a secret in the name.
Might be.
Blue origin. All right, before we go and get stuck in the heat of Israel, which is a lot going on there right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is something that affected you personally. I'm not sure how clear that is to people that haven't looked into the book or was exposed to it, but the stories are somewhat, they're not just a fruit or a fiction or your imagination. This is something you lived through in some sense or another.
Sure.
Yes, some details could be dramatized, of course.
Absolutely. It
But
is a fiction book.
Right. But some of the stories that you told me from your actual life don't seem too far from a movie already.
No, they're not. They're not.
Right.
And
There's one story in particular that I'll drag you into later that I feel like is worth telling again.
you can drag me in now. I've only had a half a cup. I'm not hitting the bathroom for another 38 minutes.
So we got some time. Yeah. I really like the story when, you started dealing in Jersey.
Yes.
And there's an actual manhunt against this one guy, but you happen to drive the same car.
Yes. Okay. All right. So I broke in at Bally's Park Place. There was Resorts International, Caesars, and Bally's. It was the third casino opened.
Right.
So I worked as a security guard waiting for my state license. And there's a story behind that because as all non-Italians know, and Medigons, as they say, know, if you're Italian, you're going to get your license pretty quick. That's just the way it worked. If you're like me and I don't have a criminal in my past, it's going to take a long time. So it took a while for me to get my state license. So I was a security guard, and then I
what was that all about?
As far as how long the wait is,
Yeah.
There's so many stories behind that. It's the inside joke about it not being Italian, not getting it, but apparently there's enough influence within that community, and or Italian guys, because of connections they had within the family, could be investigated sooner for who the bad guys might be, and they get cleared and they get their license.
Makes sense.
There's so many different stories about it, but it was a joke because I think I took 16 months, and I got buddies that took like 3 months. And I
It's
know
not what you know, it's who you know.
I know they're crooks. Let's tangent off of that. So a good friend, his wife, recently told me a story about how he got his license. It's very simple. They were in South Philly. Her uncle was a pretty powerful player in the South Jersey world.
Yeah.
Like really powerful.
Yeah.
And
By the way, this is you most of the time.
that's me.
Mm-hmm. Hi.
So if I know who you are, you know who I am, you know the story. So anyway, basically the bottom line was this. She and they met, fell in love, wanted to stay in South Philly. She says, I don't want you going down to the casinos for a job. She makes a call to her very powerful uncle, and he said, don't worry about it. So he applies for a job anyway, and he gets denied a job to deal. Makes no sense at all. He got pissed. So they have an argument. She calls her uncle, and he goes, I'll take care of it. He gets a job at the casino within a week. So that's one way it worked.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, yeah, that makes sense now. Damn. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah, in that
Especially
case,
in that world.
I know shit. I don't know anybody. Okay, so this bust.
Seems like a lot of people know you by now.
Enough. I'll tell you, and just from the YouTube stuff, Facebook especially, I've connected with so many people that were there in my life years ago. I left 30, now it's been 84 or so. Do the math. How long is that now? Jesus, 34. I lost it. 26 plus 20 is, have I lost my mind? No,
46.
36 years ago. 36. Okay. But I've connected with a lot of people. I'm going to try not to let the lack of coffee throw off my storytelling ability. But so it was a long time, a lot of reconnections, a lot of people that reach out to me and I reach out to them. And just I realized that the biggest part of that is just being positive, throwing the positive out there. I kid and I'm sarcastic and I can tease, but really, I'm really being sincere in my heart about the positive I put out there. And I'm getting it back as well as reconnecting with folks I have not seen in over 3 decades. And it's been real sincere and genuine. Yeah.
Sentiment and, being able to resonate with people like that about their history is something that will reconnect people for sure.
Yeah, it's important,
Yeah. It's like music. It's like, oh, you like Dolly too? That's it. We're friends.
Yeah.
Dolly Parton for life.
I didn't really like her music that much, but
per se. But I'm saying the point is,
exactly.
If I find one of those artists that you used to listen to, and we both came up with that, growing up listening to that, or happens to be that was the artist that our mom used to listen to when she cleans out the house on Friday or something like that.
Exactly.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
and I have those,
Yeah.
My mom she had this routine because we were a bunch of, dirty children making a mess everywhere. And she had this routine where she would, pick up after us as kids, and a certain day of the week, she would just open all the windows, let the breeze in, and had, some certain artist play out.
Okay. Yeah. Very cool. And, I was at some friend's house the other night, my wife, and they said, "What do you want to listen to?" I said, "Steely Dan." She goes, "I love Steely Dan." Puts it on. And,
instant friends.
Oh, absolutely. I just love Steely Dan.
All right. I keep diverting you from your story. So.
Okay. So I will try to do my little thing here so I can videotape me doing whatever the heck I'm doing with you briefly.
Sure.
Video and well, that's not me. There you go. Okay, so now I'm actually videoing, so I got to act like I'm not on camera. So I'm working at Bally's Park Place. I'm a dealer, craps dealer, and I'm in the life of messing around with drugs and playing and having a good time and gallivanting. And my Z28 was parked out on the Langston Expressway. And what you're supposed to do is get done work, get on a shuttle bus, and then shuttle out to the, designated parking area for your cars, and come back into town if you want to, but you can't park in town. You're not supposed to. They don't want that. They discourage it. I didn't know what the rules were as far as what they do. They catch you, but you're not supposed to.
Right.
Get done on the shuttle, go get my Z28, come back in town, pull around the corner, and there's fucking cops everywhere. And they're on me. They're on me. I mean, there's like 7 cop cars there. I pull my Z28 over. Now, my Z28 is dark claret with tritone gold striping. That's what it looks like. And that day,
you got to be a seriously cool kid driving that thing around.
Oh, I love that car. There's so much history there we're going to get into later. But so here I am, they pull me out up against the hood. They're searching the car, get a bag of weed, throw it on the top of the car, and I'm getting cuffed, and I'm looking over, and over to my right, the escalator that's coming down from the employer, all the people are coming down. Not all of them, but enough of them that there's like hundreds coming down the escalator slowly to watch me get busted at the place I work.
Yeah, they can tell the story now.
Dude,
the rumor's out.
Oh, they got me. And going back, it was the reason the weed was in there was my girlfriend, Lisa.
Come on, Lisa.
Took my fucking car that day, and she was very good she wasn't good at shifting. She's learning. She was doing pretty good, so I let her have my car. But, what's a guy going to do? There's a trade-off, and you know what the trade-off is, and we don't have to get too deep into it. But, of course, I'm giving her my fucking car. Why would I not give this girl my car? This girl's...
Good job, man. There's
are you out of your
an array of guys that would not agree with that. My Z28.
Get the fuck out of here. Are you kidding? Lisa, yes, you can have my car. Of course you can. What else do you want? Because, we're doing a good thing. So
there's a trade-off.
Yeah, there's a... So I get busted, and because Lisa had my fucking car that day, and went to her friends and smoked some weed, and stuck my stuff back in the center console, not, glove box, whatever, to lock it away. So what they were doing was they had a bus set up for a guy in town who was a pretty good, big powder dealer. And I didn't get into powder that much because powder is emotional and dangerous, and weed and shrooms and lewds. It's not emotional. It's easy to deal. And anyway,
yeah, people don't get dramatic about that.
People do not get dramatic about that stuff. They get really dramatic about powder. Well, he was a powder dealer. I think he was moving meth and coke, and
that's what they're really after.
They're after him, and he drove can't even make this up. He drove a dark brown, which was available at GM, Chevy for that car. Dark brown with tritone gold striping, and I had dark claret, similar to the color of your hat. That's what I drove. Wrong place, wrong time, wrong guy. I'm just a guy getting laid, having a good time with my girlfriend who's using my weed.
They just saw Z28.
They saw Z and fucking grabbed me.
That's it.
And take me down to the station, and the gentleman who processed me, so to speak, in the back room, I knew him very well. I played football with his son at my high school.
It's a good start.
Yeah, he processed me all right. He got me in the back, and my head was in the toilet along my weed being dumped in my head. And I better not ever fucking see you back in there again, Chucky Turner. And boom, kicked out the door. They boot my ass kind of thing. And I learned my lesson for 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Then right back into it, man.
But this is crazy. And first of all, they're realizing they definitely got the wrong guy. That's one.
Yeah.
They gotta throw the little scene show type of thing, kind of like show you, give you the boot and give you the whole act, but it's giving you the toilet with the weed over the head treatment.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not happening anymore. This is
80s
style.
No.
I want to believe it anyway.
No, not in this litigious society. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You're a victim. You're a complete victim by being a fuck up.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Sure. But yeah, I'm happy that we improved a little bit on that, because cops putting your head in the toilet, I mean, that gets a little weird.
It motivated me to be cool for like 6 minutes. And then I thought, no, I get laid.
Yeah.
I got more fun.
I guess you're somewhat lucky that he wasn't just pissed at getting the wrong guy and taking it all on you, and he actually knew you, and you played baseball with his kid.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that motivated him to get Chucky out of the police station as fast as possible.
Get the fuck out of here, you smack ass son of a bitch.
That's crazy.
Take your ass back to Lillywhite Linwood.
Well, that's the price you pay for driving a Z28.
It was.
Yep.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Hey, fast cars attract trouble. That's just truth.
I was already trouble. So, I just get in the car.
Yeah. In that case, might as well drive a Z28. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it leads me to something that I thought about before. And I'm sure folks realize that we're really not doing a script here. We have met before and talked, but we're not doing a script. But something I've been thinking about since we've talked, and I may have brought it up the first time, and it bears repeating based on the story. A lot of times folks will tell you, God, I made so many mistakes and I fucked up, and I just made bad choices, and it was the drugs. I will never say that. I will never say that. I will always say, I made those choices. I reasoned through it. God gave us the power of reasoning. You use it for good and bad and in between. I reasoned that I wanted to live this life. I reasoned that I wanted to be on the edge. I wanted to be crazy. And, it led to many, many behaviors that weren't overly healthy. I could tell you I was in love with a woman. I could tell you that she was the greatest thing in the world. But my mind, my body, and my instincts would lead me to another woman. Just the who and what I was. Not really the healthiest thing as far as relationships and obviously I realize now at my age and who I am and where I am in my life with the woman I love so much, I lacked integrity. I absolutely lacked integrity, and it was a choice. It was a choice, and I ran into situations socially over the course of time where I realized that those people were calling me out for who I was and pointing me out as an asshole. Yep. Not as, he's just a guy in a casino. No, I lacked integrity, and I was living a very, very fast life, unhealthy in many ways, and I just reveled in it. Yeah, I reveled in it. It was like a drug.
I know exactly what you mean. And I think, to your point, there's no reason or any logic behind just having regrets, because regret is the only thing you cannot fix.
Well said.
So at this point, if you lived a life and you've made your choices and you're whole with them, that's, I think, the only good stepping stone to now taking that and move into who you are going to be tomorrow or today for that matter. But I've experienced a lot of things in my life that people told me I wish it wouldn't happen to you. You know, and I thought, you know, I thought about it. I didn't, you know, immediately reply yes or right, or maybe I did say something just to get them off my back.
Sure.
But thinking about it, there's nothing that ever happened to me that I regret happening to me, because that little small thing or big thing is who I am today.
Sure.
And I like who I am today. So it is what it is. And, you know, during the course of my life, I lied. I, you know, cheated in some ways. Never cheated on a girl. Never do that.
You and I have nothing in common, my friend.
Yeah. You know, I've been to war, been through my parents' divorce, and all these kind of things that some people would say, I wish that wouldn't happen. But no, it is the course of things and how they unfolded that made me who I am today. And if they wouldn't happen, maybe I would be a different person.
Aren't we introducing the idea of a paradigm shift if you go back and cherry pick over the 628 things you have listed that I might want to change one small thing? Well, if you do, in fact, change that one small thing.
Right. You don't know what you're trading. The butterfly effect could be unreasonable.
I don't want that. I don't want that. And it's easy to say because it couldn't happen anyway. You can't go back. But in my heart is what I feel. In my soul, I feel it deeply. And I didn't have that 10 years ago, 20 years ago. I have it now. There's nothing I would trade. I would never spite my children and say, I wish I never met my ex-wife. No, wonderful things took place, so many, and it led to so many other great things, but it ended. And I never looked back and say, gee, I wish I never. I don't do that in my life.
No, I feel like people do that more as a defense mechanism, just something they can kind of hide behind and not really deal with the truth. But I don't think they actually do regret that. I mean, I don't want to speak for anybody. Maybe people do regret, but I feel like the true essence of who you are today is immediately and always will be everything you just, you know, experienced in life, from birth to now. And one area in life that really reminded me of that is war. You know, going to war and suffering with PTSD and treating that, and, you know, getting all kinds of symptoms that I thought were impossible, physically and mentally. And it really brought me to a place that allowed me to grow to a much better person. Now, I can say that I might have been able to get there without going to war, but that's just what happened. And it brought me to my knees. I met rock bottom. And through treatment, I realized so many more flaws that I wanted to fix on the way up, like lack of confidence and integrity issues. You know, a lot of times I would just say stuff that I would skew the truth, not like straight up lying sometimes, but I would definitely skew the truth in a way that makes things sound better, because I wanted to inflate my persona, and I hated that. And the reason it's very good that that's gone, not only because it's truthful, is because I love myself more without it. And when you start building that resentment against yourself and saying, I regret this, and this is who I am, and I'm a piece of shit, and da-da-da-da, you live with this resentment over yourself. It's a deathly cycle. Like, you can get in a really bad spiral doing that and find yourself depressed. It's not going to end until you face it and say, I didn't have confidence. I lied. I made up bullshit. You know, I went through a war. My parents got a divorce. This really hurt me emotionally. And go through all these motions and steps, admit it, and deal with it until you feel whole with it again. And I feel like that's the process that should take place. Not say, "Oh my God, I can't believe what my parents did to me. It's all their fault." No, you know, it's not a really good way to deal with it.
How long has the process been when you quote unquote started? How long did you go, okay, I have to start this to get myself here? You said you hit rock bottom. So how long has it been? How long have you been in this?
Since actually hitting what I call rock bottom. I mean, some people would say that, you know, rock bottom is way lower than what mine was, but it was mine. And that was just feeling and physically and mentally that I got to the point where my capacity to operate independently has decreased to an unreasonable degree.
How long ago?
This is 2017.
Okay.
Yeah. So not too long ago.
No, not at all.
4 years ago or so, something like that.
My phone is ringing. I don't want that.
Right. So between 2016 and 17, I'm going through therapy every week for 2 years, and it's a little bit before and a little bit after.
Sure.
We won't go into too much detail, but the point is, yeah, that's where I decided that all this hocus pocus that people told me about therapists and stuff is something I'm probably gonna have to give a chance to.
You call hocus pocus.
Yeah, because when they told me, you have PTSD, when I came straight out of this operation and suffered some more damage than I expected, then I went to see doctors because I thought I'm having some type of a loss of blood pressure or heart attacks or whatever it is. It was panic attacks.
Okay.
But they told me you have PTSD. You just came out of war. And I was like, what are you talking about, PTSD? No way in the world. I'm feeling that way physically because of my brain says so. No way. I wasn't going to accept it. And I thought therapists are good for, soft people and whatever, somebody that needs some attention and loving and caring. And I was tough, since my all kinds of things rolled out in my younger adult life. I just put this, sphere around me. It was made of thick metal, and I was, nobody could hurt me.
Many people do that.
Right. Yeah. It's a defense mechanism.
Sure,
it's one of the most common one too.
Sure.
So I'm not special in that way. But it kept going, and I went to see a neurologist and a cardiologist and a blah blah blahologist, and they all like, dude, just face it.
Face it.
Yeah.
Just face it.
Yeah. And it took me a while, but I went to see this unit in the military, and with people that actually suffered same, similar results from the same thing. And then it hit me, I got PTSD, and this is in my brain, and I gotta start working on this. And it was a very fast thing to get and a very long thing to get rid of,
really,
which will never really go away forever.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Get rid of, or just it gets
it becomes handleable. Yeah, it's something you start getting a grasp on. And they say PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, is when you cannot bridge something between something you saw and how you perceive the world. So let's say when somebody tries to kill you with a gun, then you feel something like this, you experience it. It could also be a car crash.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
This very aggressive, car crash and something like that, or even, many other experiences can generate that type of gap. Once that happens, this gap is now there, and you have no bridge to get over it. Your brain says, I don't know how this happened, and this is how we perceive the world, and I can't connect these two. And then you start having these symptoms where your brain says, well, because I don't know, and I'm totally butchering this scientifically, but this is, how it was explained to me. Your brain just says, okay, if I don't know how to bridge this, then I'm just going to keep us in a fight or flight state, ready to work every single moment, because I don't know that we're out of danger. I've experienced such traumatic trauma that I'll be ready to roll any second now. So if you hear a bang on the table or a firework or something that might trigger this, and every brain works differently and picks up different things, then I'm ready to go. And then everything starts kicking in, because if you feel that fight or flight kick in when nothing is actually happening, that's where a panic attack starts really like ramping up and developing, and you feel like you're having a heart attack. So, most people would just start breathing heavily, lay down, say, call an ambulance and stuff like that, which I've done.
Yeah.
And it's that real. And it takes a while to start working through that, to make that go away.
See, now my impression I'm getting now that we're talking more about your stuff is that you obviously have gone through enough counseling, training, reading up on, learning about this particular thing. And I think it probably helped lead you to understand that this right here is a very healthy thing for you. It's a natural, calming thing that helps you connect with all the pieces. So we could talk about fly fishing and the Serengeti, or the fact that you're able to keep that circuit of energy that's real positive and healthy going, I think that is part of who and what you are as making yourself whole. I can feel it.
It's a huge part.
You can feel it because when you speak about talking about these things, you say it in such a manner that I know he's very sincere. I picked it up from you right away. You're sincere about it. We can talk about chocolate all day probably because that's the kind of guys we are. But with your background, your experience, I can see that it really is part of letting your soul just let flow and get past. Fuck that. What is this shit? 2017. That's a bunch of crock of shit.
Yeah.
You've connected that. This is a big thing for you. So whether someone's prescribing something particular for you, and there's doctors everywhere to do it, the bottom line is you're tapping back into the most natural aspect of our human existence, is to be able to talk through an issue and find acceptance in the world. Acceptance is one of those powerful emotions we can have. We've all gone through it. So it seems like you've gotten to that. You've got that, at the very least, you've got that. And that's so important. Imagine the people that can't get it and they're like, fuck it.
Yeah.
And they just can't connect it.
Yeah. Well, it took me a while to, first of all, you're right. Yeah. You hit it on the head. I'm a conversationalist and it brings me health. I like talking to people.
Absolutely.
But, if I play the devil's advocate on myself, is we do need the people that, are not so agreeable like me. Because I like to have a conversation and have that positive flowing, conversation with you, because I feel like we connect and it's just a good conversation. And I do love the ability to have just to curate information through people. And every time I talk to somebody, I feel like I'm learning something new from them. And maybe if it's a good day, I'm also teaching them something.
Sure. Yeah.
But,
teaching moment in many ways.
Yeah. But the best conversations, I feel like, I shouldn't say the best. Also, equally as important conversations are the ones that you're having with people that disagree with you, but have the capacity to have, I think it's a capacity and intention of having a conversation that is something that we can make something out of. It's not just a wild, fist fight.
Can it lead somewhere?
Right. And it's not easy. Finding people that like to talk in a civil manner,
sure,
and actually produce something of value, whether it's for themselves or for the people they talk to, and are open to listen. It's a hard combination to find. So being agreeable, but not to an extreme degree.
Sure, just kissing someone's ass.
Right, open-minded, but not to an extreme degree. There's a lot of things that go into having a good conversation that's, that somebody can extract value out of, before it becomes just like, I brought you here just to say everything you want me to say about you. I'll bring somebody to sit down, and I know that he likes chocolate, so I'm just gonna say yes, chocolate.
Isn't it great? It's everything. Sweet. Hey, put sugar in it.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, I love sugar.
And I feel like a lot of society is around that right now, because we're trying to find our footing. Like, how do you have a conversation that is, productive, but not kill it in the first minute, because the other person won't have it if you don't agree with them a little bit.
Wow, I've got so much to say. I'm going to try to be. I'll try to be quick. One, my wife and I just had the conversation about once upon a time it was, you should do this. I would say those words. She'd say to me, here's something you should be thinking about. We got rid of that years ago. It's no longer. I've evolved as a New Jersey. Got about, you should do this too. Here's something I might do. And now she even picked on that last night in front of my son, who was visiting from Southern California. I said, whoa, honey. I used to say, here's what you should do. She goes, no, now you say, here's what I would do. And I go, yeah, but that's less aggressive. And that's something that we talked about. Yeah. She said, yeah, but the kids, you say, here's something I would do. You're a little more. And I go, you're even picking on that. So that's.
I'm trying.
Yeah. That's the one aspect. The other aspect is, I was going to say, we whiteboard. So with the kids, we get out the whiteboard, and we just talked about last night. With my son, it was his career. My son was getting his ass kicked at this job. I took him to lunch and said, you're right where you need to be. You're never going to forget this. Don't ever forget this. And I brought back another point in his life where he was down low too. And I said, Zachary, I promise you, we're going to go back to this, and you're going to remember it. And the reason is because you need perspective. And sure enough, he's in a job. He's doing fine. It's challenging, but we can bring that up. The third thing, and here's a big tangent, the word Jew. I'm from New Jersey. I've got Jewish friends, Italian friends, black friends, Puerto Rican friends, Greek. I've met people. I've been in the culture.
If you grew up in New Jersey, then you've seen it all. You've been friends with all.
Exactly. So my future son-in-law is Jewish. He and I can shtick about anything at any time and not get offended. He gets me and I get him. He gets it. I was engaged to a Jewish girl. I got really solid Jewish friends back home. My dad was, most of his clients were Jewish. Gentiles can do this all day long and try to justify, I can say Jew. And look, either you are or you aren't anti-Semitic. That's just the way it is for me. That's the way I feel. So with Michael, man, we get into the good stuff. And he laughs so hard and we go back and forth. My daughter has learned to roll her eyes. She gets it. So we've had some fun with this. And I always have thought, and this is kind of like what we talked about before about going back and cherry picking and the paradigm shift. I don't need to justify how and what I do. I know who I am inside, and I can't wait. Michael and I talk every day. We FaceTime and shtick and have fun. We talk about real stuff, we talk about silly stuff, and we talk about ridiculous stuff.
Right.
And I shtick with him, and he rolls his eyes, and Sarah, and I just see my daughter in the background. And yesterday, he was with his mom. Now, these are Russian Jewish immigrants from 1976 that came across to New York and went to an Italian deli. It was the first meal they had. So that was their thing. They loved Italian deli food. Well, of course, I'm going to get on about Jewish deli.
Right.
So sure enough, he's like, we want the masticatos. I go, what the fuck, an Italian place? Why don't you in a Jew place? He's like, well, he goes, there's too many Jews here. He's Jewish.
Right.
I go, what do you mean? He goes, the deli's packed. There's not that many Italians. I go, Michael, I would stand in line for get a good matzo ball soup. What are you doing? He's like,
exactly.
Well, we like matzo. So, and his mom is right there.
Yeah.
His mom doesn't. She's a little bit different on the shtick. She's like looking at back and like, why is he talking that way to my son? And we're going back and forth.
Yeah, if you're from the outside, you can't really tell what's going on.
I'm 16. I've been accepted as 16%. I'm a 16% Jew. According to my friend Paul, because I had a fiance and this and that, he's like, Chuck, you're 16%. You're never going to get the other 84. and
sorry.
Yeah, sorry. And then yesterday, Michael texted me and goes, Chuck, you can't say that joke. You're not one of the chosen people. I said, yeah, but I was told to get in line.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, comedy is extremely important. And
humorous.
I feel like that's how we, poke around at each other and find our limits and also enjoy each other in a way. And it's funny because I was talking to Rick, who was here, and we were talking about that because Israel has this, almost every country has something like this, but Israel has a show that its entire purpose every week is to make fun of very, very tense subjects.
Such as?
Such as, what's going on with...
right now?
Well, like right now, like in the government, like if there's anything about corruption or anything about a politician.
You got a lot going on. Netanyahu might or might not. I've heard that for years now.
Right.
That's from my perspective, North American. So.
Yeah, but the point is, it helps on an actual practical level, helps curate information in a productive way when you put it into comedy. There's limitations on that.
Sure.
But generally speaking, it helps. Israel is a melting pot. People came from all over the world. There's Jews from everywhere. And meeting everybody together at that, melting pot that's called Israel. And we're not going to talk about, what's going on there right now. I think that's a big subject that, has things I agree and disagree with in it. But generally speaking, the point is comedy, bringing those conflicts and issues that would be tense in the street, whether it's immigration from a new country or anything like that, making fun of each other, of ourselves, helped bring people together.
Sure.
And again, I say with a caveat, there's limitations on that. It can become offensive. But
yes,
generally speaking, I don't think it should be banned. Comedy helps bring people together, just like music does and art does. And
food.
It is food. It's a form of art. And to your point, it's fun too. It's so.
Where's the line?
I think the line is when it starts becoming on someone's expense a problem.
Yes, laughing at them, not near them or with them.
Exactly.
When you're laughing at someone on a consistent basis, you're hurting them. I agree. And you hurt yourself.
Sure.
I think it comes back.
Absolutely. I agree with everything you said. So it's just trying to identify whether a person is inside the joke or outside the joke.
Which would lead to, historically, look at some of the comedians, the Lenny Bruces, the Sam Kinnisons, the Andrew Dice Clays. Look at some of the ones that have gotten really I've listened to some Lenny Bruce's sets. Lenny Bruce would just go out and off on anything he wanted to, and he was brilliant at it, and he was doing it at a time when that wasn't quite done.
Right.
And on and on and on. You know, when someone gets at you and tries to really push you over, it's fascinating. Then you have like, what was the comedian I just saw the other day? They were showing his Russell Peters. He's Indian, subcontinent, Indian, Canadian. His audience is, as I said, dark hair. They're ethnic groups that are mostly dark.
Make this frame a little wider.
Okay. Russell Peters really goes after the communities that are of the dark hair background. His people aren't the Swedes. You start naming them. He's got Indians, Bangladeshians, Pakistanis, Iranians, Chinese. He goes after that group and he just hits them about their different ways. Saudi Arabians, the whole bit. He's hilarious. And he talks about, like, he's compared, like, people say Jewish men are cheap. They're not cheap, they're thrifty. Indian men are cheap. He talks about his dad, his father. His father was sitting down for dinner and they serve a meal. And he's like, his dad gets done, looks at the waiter, and there's a check. He goes, take it and go. And he's like, Pop, that's not the way it works here, man. You got to pay. No, go. Like he ate. He didn't want to pay. No, Pop, it doesn't work that way. Indian men are really, they're just cheap. Well, that's his perspective. He grew up around that culture.
And I think that it's good that we were able to joke around about it, and we got to a place where I feel like it's no longer the audience that in front of you that's watching. It's the whole world at every given moment. And that's where we get into a little bit of an issue, because there's some things that we can both agree that are either offensive or not offensive, but a lot of the issue now is that every individual gets to decide for themselves, because that's what freedom is all about, and individuals, whether you like it or not, can feel however they want. But sometimes, it's just going to be a little bit of collateral damage. Like when the vast majority of people agree that a joke is just funny, then it's just funny.
Sure.
But let's just rewind backwards and make a little experiment. Eddie Murphy, back in the day. I mean, I remember rolling on the floor, dying of a tummy ache, laughing at his stuff.
And he picks on his own family, his own people.
Right. And he said some stuff that back then seemed acceptable in society and now would be considered not so much.
Sure.
He would say a lot of stuff that now would be considered homophobic.
Yes, very much so.
So he would say faggot and stuff like that. And I feel like back then there might have been some people that were homosexual that found that ha-ha, and some that found it not so ha-ha, and they were offended. So that's where it gets a little complicated, because today it's a clear line where you don't call somebody a faggot on a comedy show. It's just not a thing. And things have evolved, and we're evolving as a humanity. We're evolving on race. We're evolving on how we treat each other. We're evolving. We're far from perfect, but we're doing a good job.
You can look up right now on YouTube a Sanford and Son episode with Red Fox using the N-word.
Yeah.
He's in a courtroom setting, and there's a cop there. The cop gave a black guy a ticket. It's his son, and the judge says, "Is he representative here?" And Fred Sanford stands up and, I'm his rep. I've been representing him for. Anyway, he tells the judge, what kind of court is this? There's no white people. He's not giving tickets to white people. There's enough N-words here to make a Tarzan movie. I mean, this is 1973. That is fucking hilarious. And he uses the N-word again on national TV in 1973, 4, whatever. Hilarious. You can't have Anthony Anderson or some other character, Blackish, and he's not going to do that. They're not going to put that out there.
No.
At the time, for the person, for the perspective, it was hilarious. Michael Scott on The Office. You know, he has two of the Asian girls who are waitresses at the place. He's back at the office. He can't tell which one's which, so he takes a marker and he marks her. This is 2021. Can you imagine? That was what, 7 8 years ago? Can you imagine trying to do that on a television show where a white
12, you mean? 21 is now.
So yeah, 21. So it was 6 7 years ago they did that episode, and he marked the Asian girl, and we all went like, how inappropriately hilarious is that? And I think everybody got a laugh.
Well, the joke is the white man is so
stupid.
He's
such a
so ignorant,
fucking ignorant idiot. But yet now with what's going on, and I can't get my mind around the hows and the whats of how and why we're going through what we're going through with attacks against the Asian American community. The only thing I can say is that there is definitely an element out there that's trying to divide us. That's reaping something from dividing us. Because I have no feeling or need to walk into a place and see someone who's Asian and go, I go into businesses where there's Asian people. I don't think twice. I just flow. So I don't know what's going on. I just feel like there's an element out there that's trying to find each way to divide and knock down what's been established, to change things, however that looks and however it got to. And this coming from a guy who says to my kids, change is inevitable. You must live with change. Mm-hmm. You can put up a name up on the board and say, this guy's president and he's an a-hole and we have to have him. We don't. And then a new guy takes over. We talked about this. Mm-hmm. You know, I got up the next day and I was fine. You know, I went right back out and made money. I was happy. I was fulfilled. I just can't get deeply into the political scene. I don't think we're two-party. We're two people.
Right.
We're a two-people system. So I got a little bit more into that, but that's what I feel. I just think that if you're stuck on the Kardashians, I don't think you're getting it, man. I've seen that. If you've seen two, you've seen them all.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. Tribalism is complicated and it does draw people in heavily. You know, has a lot of pull. But I somewhat agree, and also have side notes on that whole thing we're experiencing. And also somebody that I was talking to here, mentioned it in a way that I liked, and he said a lot of this is collateral, growing pains. Is that we're trying to find footing towards what is right, and the outliers of that effort, sometimes make the biggest news, and sometimes the outliers of that effort of finding equality, fairness, and all that stuff end up doing a lot of damage on either side.
Sure.
It's people that go deep into the right or deep into the left. There's a small percentage in each of those ends of the spectrum that is damaging, and it's not good for anybody. What keeps me optimistic is that the vast majority of people live somewhere where we agree on most things.
I feel that. I just don't think it's.
Yeah.
I don't think it's put out enough.
No.
The message isn't the minority, the inmates are running the asylum in many ways. For me, I know that there's more guys like you and me than there are than the crazies, but yet they seem to get the most publicity.
Sure, and that first of all, it makes good news.
Absolutely.
Two.
Oh God, yeah.
It sometimes I've heard the argument that it gets the ball rolling. And you know what? Whatever. I've seen some violent revolutions that led to something positive. Sure did. So I don't like it, and I don't like the extremism at all in any case. But I think the majority of people's hearts are in the right place. It's pushing towards what we all want to have, and making sure everybody gets their fair place in society, and we take care of each other. And that's what America is. We're an experiment. Things haven't, by no means has it been going good in many aspects. We made mistakes. Every country did.
Sure.
Here it's just there's mega awareness to that, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It feels uncomfortable, but even for me, somebody who grew up in Israel, and racism is not really on the table that much, because even our conflict with our neighbor Palestinians is not about race. It's an ideology conflict. But the point is, coming to here and seeing how America is dealing with this it was eye opening, because it's just not something I was exposed to. So in a way, I felt a little ignorant or I should say a lot, because it's a complicated issue, and I feel like we're all moving in the right direction. But to your point, what makes news is the things that we don't want to end up like.
My father would say, if they put a thing on the front page, it says Boy Scout walks old lady across the street, not going to sell papers.
No.
Plane crashes, everybody dies. That's going to sell a lot of papers.
And that's what's unfortunate. I feel like it's happening everywhere, and it's been the story of marketing. Like,
sure,
it's not very. So how do you sell news if you can't get it in front of people?
Sure.
I don't know. People on YouTube use these extreme thumbnails, and I'm sick of it. Like, all these faces and logos and stuff that and specifically the titles, like as if something extreme was happening. And sometimes it comes from content creators that I really appreciate, but seems like they figured out that if they don't do that,
they're not going to get the looks.
They're not going to get in front of people.
Sure.
And I hate that. And I committed to myself that I'm never going to do that, and just organically grow, or not.
Yeah.
But I accept it because I cannot do this thing where, Fox and CNN, this constant
red meat.
It has to be so dramatic and so skewed. Like
breaking news.
I hate that. I really do. And it's not fair towards the viewer to come out with these things, because at the end of the day, the main gainer of value is not the person watching your content.
Yeah.
It's you getting huge volumes of people looking at you and buying you, and advertising, funds go your way. It's just, that's where I get a little lost. If you're so heavy into optimizing how many people watch you versus just focusing all that time on creating value, that's where I start losing you. And I see this happening to YouTubers all the time. They start honest. They literally tell you, don't smash no like button. Don't just listen to me. There's this one guy that I really like that, really stays honest. And then somewhere down the line, maybe not specifically him, but others that I've, watched kind of evolve into these YouTube powerhouses, machines.
Is it an evolution though? Don't you have to go, in a sense, have to go there to maintain, to perpetuate?
Maybe you do, but
it might be that.
But I specifically fall off the wagon when people get to the point where they optimize for profit, when the initial thing that draw me into them is their honesty, straightforward approach, considering all sides of the story,
right.
Being open-minded. I like open-mindedness.
I just had this conversation yesterday about microbreweries, Breckenridge Brewery, Kona, Four Peaks, and Phoenix, on and on. Look, you get big, you get popular, and in the modern world, that's it. If you don't control the distribution, shelf placing, which the major brewers just control, Anheuser-Busch, the Coors Miller, or whatever they are now, Molson Coors Miller. If you don't control that, you're going to go so far. So Breck Brewery, Boulder, what's the other one? Fat Tire got sold recently. It's because of distribution. They got too big. They got as big as they're going to get. They ain't getting on the front shelves anywhere else. People want Fat Tire. Well, you go into a different market away from here, like Texas, you're going to be down there. If Budweiser owns you, you're going to be there. So there is that aspect of it. You get to a certain point where it has to become something different. And I understand it. Here's one for you. Go on to Yahoo and see so-and-so, Tiffany Hadid, Kardashian, whatever this girl is in a string bikini, and we can't look away. We can't get enough. They put the words in there, and I'm so offended by that. It just pisses me off. You're going to show the girl's butts and her boobs, and I've seen it before, and I'm happy to see it again. But don't tell me we can't look away. We can't get enough. Or the other one, which is, oh, my God, so-and-so Kardashian had a problem with her bikini, and she's really offended. And you have to look at the picture of her. It's the same thing. She's half naked. She's got a frowny face, especially the young Kardashian. That girl never smiles. She's worth $1 billion. Get that shit. But we're supposed to be conditioned. And I just look at this stuff and I just laugh.
Right.
If the girl's going to parade in front of me, yeah, I get it. I'm a guy. I like women, but I'm tired.
Sex sells. That's probably sells the most.
Why am I being told we can't look away? We can't get enough.
It's conditioning.
I'm going to chew on something. It's ridiculous.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's. I think it's. This is good, huh?
Oh man,
Yeah, it's one of my favorite flavors. I think it's a roasted coconut.
more of these.
More of these. Yeah, you got get have as much as you want. So, enough of the annoying media. Um, I want to get back to your books
Okay.
and the story behind them.
Sure.
And we'll make this very easy for viewers to jump between chapters of our conversation with timestamps.
All right.
But you lived a life that motivated you and inspired you to write a book.
Sure.
Why did you decide to write a book and not just keep it to yourself and live with it and die with it?
I have kept to myself, and the time frame was 34 years. When I went through my own little mini trauma in my life, then I just kept it. Didn't say much about it. Talked to my kids, understand my story, friends and so forth, but nothing really deep. I didn't get into the deep details of it. And as I wrote in my book, in the first book, the very beginning of the book, went through something with my wife in Tampa, where we went into a hotel late at night, and I picked up a movement of a gentleman who turned out to be a nefarious type character who was looking to take us down. And I picked up on it and read it. And when we got off the elevator with him, he steps in front of me, in front of us, and started to pull a gun out. I pulled my wife down the stairs, and again, the rest of the story's in the book, but the rest of the trip, it bothered me quite a bit that I was able to.
It's a dramatic entry to your story, by the way.
Yeah, but it happened. It really happened, and my wife realized how much it bothered me, and I just was going through so many. I was having a hard time sleeping.
Storm of emotions.
It got to me, and
started it all back again.
Yeah, she finally said, "Why don't you write a book?" I'm like, "I'm not writing a book. It's stupid," in so many words. And then 2 weeks later, I'm like, "I'm going to write a book." You're brilliant. So,
don't you love it when they're right? You just don't know it yet.
Oh God! And quite frankly, if you want to just cut to the chase and save the 6-hour conversation, your wife is always right, guys.
6-hour conversation. Talk about 45 years for some people.
I'm trying to give you the skinny.
The earlier you get it, the better your life is.
Your wife is always right. If you're not smart enough to understand that, then you're just spitting in the wind, dude. Understand, I'm almost 60. If I tell you, and I'm no genius, basically speaking, your wife is always right. Look it up.
Google it.
Google it. It's worth a Google. Look it up. Your wife is always right.
Yeah.
We don't have to get into that.
Yeah, if she says run to the street, that's what you do, boy.
You run to the street. And if you come back alive, there might be a reward on the other end. Might not happen in an hour. Could happen in a couple of days. So, so that was that's what got me going, the experience. And then, I started to open up on some of the things that had taken place and some of the deeper stuff. And it's troublesome. It's troublesome because I have to balance between what I want to say and how I want to say it, because I'm going to expose people, and they're in my family. Yeah, and that's the bottom line.
It's a complicated issue, but
extremely complicated.
It's it maybe is the price of telling a story worth telling. You know? Yeah. I mean, storytellers make sacrifices like that all the time. I'm
right on the edge right now. I've got people that I'm close to, or one entity I'm close to, very close to. The other entity I'm not, and that I'm not the only person in my family that's not close to that other entity. And I've got people in my family, in essence, telling me, do not say this. Do not say those words. It's true. It's real. It happened. I don't have to take a lie detector test. I've got enough people that know my story and understand why.
People that lived there during that time, that experienced that with you.
For me, it really, there's some deep stuff here. Like, for instance, being part of a lifestyle that's really high-paced and just deeply involved in all the vices I could find and enjoying them. And then pulling out of that and going into the Navy, joining the military, and leaving my friends and leaving South Jersey. I love South Jersey. I didn't leave South Jersey because I was part of the group of people in the world that make New Jersey jokes. I can talk about New Jersey all day long about the negatives and this and that, but the bottom line is I love South Jersey. I
got
love
some water if you want here.
Yeah, I love where I come from. So leaving was difficult, somewhat traumatic. And then I didn't talk about it much. Now that I'm talking about it, I have to make decisions, and I have to be honest about who I am about it, because once I said the words I need to say, and I haven't quite got to the two stories,
It's out there.
it's going to be a mini bomb going off, and people are going to understand. And I've got, like I said, people, my family saying, don't do
that.
this. And I'm here to tell them this is the honest truth, reality of what took place. This is what happened. And it fucked my life up. I put myself in that position, but what I was told to do and how to do it, I had to come around to it. The coffee's kicking in. Here's what it is. I went back 14 years later, and my friend actually asked me about my sexuality. Did you know, people are thinking, are you gay? And I'm like, wait, what? Well, you know, you laughed and you left suddenly and you picked up on, you know, people want to know if you're gay. I'm like, dude, I'm not gay.
What does that have to do with anything? They thought maybe.
Because they thought maybe I had had a change in my life and I was ashamed or trying to hide it. Whatever was going on, his question to me, to my face, was, are you gay?
Because back in the day, that could have been something that people felt like they should be ashamed of.
Something like that. Why are you running and hiding?
They just couldn't make
make
sense.
the connection. They couldn't do it. And I had to tell them the basic story.
Yeah.
Explain to them what had gone on and said, dude, that was my one friend. I go see my other friend. Now, he's working at Borgata. He's a big wig over in Borgata. He's saying, you want a lady? Because he's got connections. This girl's walking by, give him the eye. He's a player. He's like, you want her? I'm like, what? He goes, you want a girl? I said, you know, Jerry, I got Linda in my life. I'm fine. He goes, but you want something, you know, he's trying to figure me out. I said, look, Jerry, it's been how long since I've seen you, man? Look, I've settled, I've calmed, I've got someone important in my life. Life is good, man. But they were trying to feel me out. They had no idea why I picked up and left South Jersey, because I was doing good, living a great life. I love where I'm from. I love everything about it. Warts and all. That's my home.
Yeah, but there's a story that led up to that, getting out of town and just making that decision.
Sure. Yeah, there is a story. Do you want me to delve into it, or?
Sure. I thought it was a really interesting story.
Okay, so the bottom line was that I was involved in enough vices, you know, selling weed and doing mushrooms and lewds and partying,
Right.
and I alluded to it earlier, and I'll say it, and it's quite honest. Irregardless of whatever woman I was with, I was always looking for another one. There was always that, you know, that feeling that I just wanted to just hop and jump. And so I really didn't have the real integrity and solidness. So I lived a pretty fast life, and I enjoyed it. And I lived a crazy life, and I did some crazy shit with some crazy women, crazy places. So everything was going my way, so to speak. And then I got in some trouble in a drug deal in Florida. One of the entities that is in this whole picture that I haven't really gotten deep into. The bottom line is there's someone I knew all my life. And I went down to do a deal. It went very bad, and I got, in essence, chased. I was at the airport, had bikers after me, and I got I got on my People's Express flight with an air marshal. And then taken in a room.
Thank God.
Yeah, I got taken in a room in Philadelphia International Airport, him and two others, and they questioned me. I had already popped a lewd. I was already, you know, a little bit, and I was lying my ass off about how and what and why, and I got out of that. But eventually it led me to a sit-down with another person I knew all my life and his connection in the Casino Control Commission, and I was asked to wear a wire. I just wasn't gonna do that. I whatever integrity I lacked in many ways.
You had respect to what was going on at that moment, and you said, no, that's the one thing I'm not going to do.
I wasn't going to rattle my friends. I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to give up on the very people that I had wholeheartedly gone in with for our lifestyle, for our love of our lifestyle and the things we did. We were like, in essence, family and brothers, and I was never going to do that. So, and I basically told him, fuck you. And then I went to my friend who's well connected within the organized community.
Community. It is a community.
And believe me, I just found out things 4 months ago from my friend's wife, and it just confirmed everything I knew for 34 years. I knew it. I knew it in my heart. So she told me what I needed to hear and how and what was the connection was. And the connection was simple. The reason he was telling me what he was telling me, which was, you have to leave. You have to leave South Jersey, Chucky. You can't stay. Bo. Bo is the South Philly Italian way of saying buddy. Bo.
Yeah.
You gotta leave, Bo. You gotta go. And, I knew there was reasons, and I trusted him enough, and we had done enough working deals and friendship stuff together.
You were thinking, if he says this, then it's time to go.
And then I found out about 4 months ago the connection was basic. And I have to be general about this. So his connection has a family member that's actually in the life and got the word, found out about that I was an ear. The word was out that I was an ear. I was talking to people about wearing a wire. That's enough. In 1979, you might get smacked around. In 1980, 81, 82, 83, you're going to get killed. Because there was a change of leadership in 1980.
Yeah.
And it's
the tolerance to something like that changed.
It's well documented how the change took place in South Philly. So anyway, the leader, that I would have been killed. So I was told I needed to go, and that's what I did. I started to make my arrangements to get out and do different things and get out of there. But I didn't leave right away. I drove around in a yellow 77 yellow Trans Am with a big bird in the front for 3 months. Took a job over in Ocean City.
That's not exactly laying low, huh?
I was pissed off. I was really angry. I fully committed to the life of having a crazy good time. I didn't do anything wrong. I certainly wasn't going to rat my friends out. Excuse me. So
that was enough for them to say, yeah, this is let's make this problem not happen.
I was surprised, generally speaking, I was surprised that I didn't get shot or killed. I was surprised. I drove around expecting to be killed. I drove around thinking that, my end would come in some way. And it didn't. And 3 months later, I was in the Navy. And looking back, going, wow, that was really weird.
Well, maybe somebody was watching for you, making sure that, they don't hit you while you're making a decision to get out of town.
Now, to follow the story, while I'm off into my own world, running into the new world, that same situation did take place. They did find a guy to wear a wire, my very friend, and his connection. And the connection's dad is a player in the organized crime family. Those two guys got nailed. They found a stooge. They wired him up.
That wire?
They wired him up, and they got my guy, and they got the other guy.
What happened to the guy that was wearing the wire?
You can't find him.
No, he's protected.
You can't find him. He's long gone. But my guys did jail time. This evolves. We talked a little bit about what happened in Florida, but this evolves. Once I got to the point where I felt like I needed to write and get this out and get through it, we had so many crazy ideas how to market, because I've never done this kind of marketing. And 10 years ago, if you put a book on Amazon, let's say you're writing a series and you're writing romantic novels and you had 10 already, and then the Amazon, it hit.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? It was new. So sorry. It was new. Amazon grabbed your stuff that was decent and helped you promote it, and you made some good money.
Yeah.
This is different now. This is a different world. There's 1 million plus writers, whatever. So I decided to put up a billboard in Lang City. I paid for a service to put a billboard up. So my cover, that picture of a postcard, we put on a billboard, and we put it outside of Lake City on Route 30 with my name, Big Chuck Turner. I was physically announcing that I had returned. I wasn't hiding. I was accessible. I was back, and it caught people. People reached out to me on Facebook and so forth, like, wow. And my Facebook group grew, and friends, you can make 1,000 friends on Facebook, 4,000, they don't know you. But my group that were sincere, and I started to get messages and emails, and I started to get the word out. And the word is really basic. We can talk for a long time. I can tell you many stories, and we will. But the bottom line is this: I'm not a rat. That's the bottom line for me. It's been all this time. I've had my sexuality questioned. I've had my integrity questioned on whether or not I did bad things against my friends. No, this is not an LGBTQ discussion or am I for and against. I don't mean that. I'm just saying people wanted to know if that's where I went. No. Did I run away because I got in trouble with the law? Well, basically, yeah, but I didn't rat anybody out. I actually didn't rat them out. I actually decided to leave and leave everything behind. My lifestyle, my family, everything, with the idea that, I just want to change things up. Fucking left, man. I left all that behind. And now that I go back, I can look people in the eye. And I've got friends that I haven't seen in decades that are like, they get it. I got arms put around me. I actually had my friend Paul just like I saw him like it was yesterday. Just put his arms around me like it was yesterday. Understands, gets it. We were good.
Yeah.
Because I could never do that if I actually did the wrong thing. If I did the wrong thing, I would never be able to return. And you can't. How do you live that way? How do you go back and live a lie? Well, I wore a wire and ratted out these guys, and they're mob connected, but I'm back, and I got a billboard up, and
Yeah, that's not the kind of attention you want to draw to yourself.
No, and risk the stuff within my family unit, my family group, and the people that I love and care about. What's the move?
Yeah.
I got to tell the truth, man.
No, it's important, and even if it doesn't mean anything to a certain amount of people, it means the world to you.
Right.
You need to feel like you've done yourself the justice of telling the story the way it was.
Tired of this book falling down. Sorry, it's bothering me, and I'm trying to fidget with my hands to keep myself busy.
There you go. So there was one cool part of the story that when you were in Florida and things were going sideways, that I thought was pretty hilarious, and you made it to the airport. And you sat down by this guy. I don't know if you realized by that minute that he was an air marshal before.
No idea. I had no idea who I was sitting around.
He told you something.
Yeah, he said, "Don't use the bathroom."
Well, what the heck that means?
And I'm like, what? And he had shown me his ID. He'd done one of this little. I think he got it into his. What do you have? Oh fuck!
Some kind of a.
He had a paper or a magazine or something. He just opened it and it showed his ID.
Oh, kind of hiding
He said, keep your head down. Don't go in the bathroom. And I wanted to look at him. He said, don't look at me, look down. I said, okay, look at this. And I looked and I saw on some sort of ID. I looked quickly. He didn't show it to me long. I'm looking at him like, and then I close. He goes, now look. He looked down and he told me like to smile or something. Listen, do not go in the bathroom. There are two guys. Those two guys are waiting for you to go in there. Don't look up right now. And so I kind of look up, and I see these two guys, and they look biker-esque. That's the best way to put it. They're biker-esque. These guys are bikers. Mm-hmm. Well, they're pursuing me, obviously. I had a little encounter before. The situation I was in with the drug deal didn't go well at all, and I had to get the hell out of a situation I was supposed to be in for a couple days. I was leaving within hours. Shit went bad. So these guys were setting it up to get me in the bathroom, and I think they were... The method they would use would be to knife me, grab me, and just boom, and slash, and then get out. And,
have enough time to get out of there.
They'd have enough time to get out. And this is before a lot of different...
Yeah, all cameras and CCTV.
Yeah, and this is we're in Fort Lauderdale Airport. I think we're in Fort Lauderdale.
Heck, by that time you can just walk into the gate. You don't even need a ticket.
No, it's a whole different time. So so here I am, and I get on my plane. I eventually get on the plane. And I don't sit right next to him. He sits some miles away. But once I get off the plane, I get, like I said, taken into a room, and I'd pop the lid and I answer questions and just, it was a fight about a girl, and then these guys bumped into me or something.
Made up something.
Yeah, and I told them, fuck you, and then I didn't really watch them, following me.
Yeah.
So I got it, but that was enough to get past that. But they have on me. I wasn't carrying anything.
Yeah.
Didn't have any drugs on me or anything. I mean, I had popped the one loot I had, so. Got out of that.
They can't get that out of you.
I wish I had two.
Got you through the conversation.
Yeah, I like lewds a lot. Yeah, lewds were good. So, that was.
Is that depicted in any of the books? The story in general, or not?
Oh, I not not that one. That one's going to be quite the bridge to cross when I get to it,
Yeah.
because I think there are enough people that know that that story is true and happened. And when I put it all together, the individuals that I really care about, and love, are going to get it. And it might be a very uncomfortable situation for all of us. It's a corner turner when I go ahead and do that story. 2 and 2 gets put together pretty quickly. I'm alluding to it in many ways in conversations to this today and
Putting
before.
it in writing is something different.
Putting it in writing and saying, and I don't want to. And so, what I have done is this: I have taken that individual and brought him back into the book earlier on as a youngster, changed the name, changed his friend's name, and made them a couple of schleps. It was easy.
Yeah.
And people laugh about it and say, and then my friend called me and said, "Is this so and so?" I'm like, "Fucking A right, it is. It's him. It's him and him.
You get to know.
It's him and him." They're like, that was brilliant." I go, "Yeah, I had to get it in. I want to get it in now." When he's a kid, he said,
Yeah.
"Jerk off when he's a little kid."
Yeah.
So I got that out.
That's
Got
hilarious.
that done. Yeah. So that was fun to write.
Yeah. So you'd say it's is it an emotional roller coaster for you to just to go over unloading all of this into words, into writing?
It can be if I'm trying to write an autobiography. If I just dance in and out, then it's not so bad because I've created some of the characters. I talked about the Haim Ezra character.
Yeah.
Haim Ezra, he's based on a character I met in California at the Huntington Park Casino.
Right. So something about you're allowing it to be part fiction,
Sure.
or let's just call it fiction because it's based on maybe true events, but the stories are, you call it a fiction book.
Yeah.
Maybe that helps you work around it emotionally a little bit better. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I actually had a young lady who went to high school would say she cried when she read about the part where I got drugged into the woods and attacked by this one guy. And her question, of course, like everybody's question, did that really happen? Well, it's either did or it didn't, right? But as a writer, am I supposed to tell people every time
No.
something? Here's another one for you. I did this last time. I'll show you the text. I've got lots of text to show you. Here's one for you. Here's a young lady who was married to a guy I played baseball with back in the day, who said, so-and-so, she put so, ... So-and-so, I'm assuming is my, and she names a professional that's in her life that they've done business with.
Yeah.
Is that true? And I'm like, I'm not answering her.
No.
Because the moment I answered that, then that individual who has already reached out to me,
Yeah.
who has already had his attorney reach out to me in a social matter. It's an attorney friend. In a social manner has reached out to me, trying to trap me into getting me to talk to him and giving him the stuff he needs. Fuck you. That's it.
Nope.
Fuck you. I unfriended you. I'm not talking to your buddy. We have a history. It goes back to high school. That's it. You know it and I know it. Why are we going to, we can do the dance because I have to because I'm writing, but I'll be goddamned if I'm going to be telling people exactly, giving them the out.
Right.
You are talking about me. You fucking ain't right I'm talking about. You were a jerk off in high school. You were an asshole in Linwood. The list goes on.
There you
So
go.
I get to do what I get to do. If you want to do your thing, you write a book.
That's true. And I get that and I respect that. I think I was maybe 19 or something like that when I wrote to one of my favorite artists, a musician.
Where was this? Where were
And
you?
I was in Israel.
Okay.
Yeah, it was during the military. And he wrote a song, and I thought I knew what he meant. So I reached out to him. This is early, like I'm just discovering Facebook, right?
Yeah.
And it's new to me and relatively new to the world too. You know, I think it's like 08 or something.
Okay. Yeah.
And he was not big enough to not even see my message, so it actually got to him.
Oh, wow.
And he was just like in his early days. He's bigger now. And anyway, I asked him, a long message about his song and how I resonate with it. And I was like, "Do you mean this and this?" And he gave me this, this what I thought is annoying straight answer, which was, as a musician, I don't really share what the meaning behind all of
Sure.
this was. And I found that initially so annoying.
Were
Because
you
I thought,
offended?
I wasn't offended. I was just like, why is he like obviously, we have a joint past because he was a combat soldier and I'm one right now, being in the military then. And, I really think I got it spot on what he means. And why can't he just give me this moment,
Yeah, why not, right?
But over the years, it's just a small thing, but it taught me something. And obviously I remember it enough to bring it up.
Sure.
That there is something special and precious that you must protect in art, or at least you have the right to not share that. It brings and gives it more value, I think, in potential at least, than if you just put what the meaning is behind it.
Sure.
Because people get to interpret it, So if it's a painting or a book or a song, people can experience in so many colorful, beautiful, dark, ugly, interesting, captivating ways that you wouldn't really get if you explained the meaning step by step, word by word, the whole way through.
This reminds me of the meaning of the song Hotel California.
A lot of people go dance around that.
Oh, and even Don Henley and Glenn Frey talked about it, and they give you that. Then there's Kiss, whose manager says Kiss is about 4 chords and stupid lyrics. Dumb lyrics. Gene Simmons will admit it. Paul Stanley will admit it. Lick it up.
Lick it up.
On the dance floor.
Yeah.
Be good to yourself and lick it up on the dance floor. It's the dumbest, most ridiculous visual you can get that actually has some sort of sexual connotation, and they're going to write it every time. And they've been doing it for decades, and they're successful. Guess what? That's their thing. You don't have to guess about a Kiss lyric. It's just stupid rhyming.
Yeah.
It's brainless. That doesn't make them bad musicians.
Yeah, watch. In 100 years, it's going to come out that like everything they said in their songs is like a prediction of the future.
Gene Simmons, oh God. So interpretation. So how much can you get into it? And even think about it, even if you give the person the definition or the meaning of what's going on, they might look at you like this.
Huh?
As opposed to give them a chance to give you let them get it.
No, I agree. It's more beautiful to keep it open.
Sure.
Yeah. Just imagine how much of a stronger effect a painting on a wall has when people get to look at it, and hopefully many people get to look at it, millions, let's say, in a museum, and they all get their interpretations.
Sure.
Some are more creative, some are not, some are more mainstream, but they all get the opportunity to interpret it in their own way, and it opens different pathways in their thoughts and brains and emotions in a way that I think is more free than it would be if the interpretation was written down on a little placard over there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We are doing a redo in our place we live in. So we've gutted the kitchen, and we're doing travertine, and we're doing medallions. One we ordered online, and the other ones we're making out of pieces. We're creating. My wife and I didn't set out and say we're going to do it this exact way. We looked at the back of the stove and said, okay, the stove sticks up there. Get rid of that. Get the flat stove. The microwave sticks down this far. Get the one that's smaller. So we got that and opened up the back area for a medallion to be created.
Yeah.
We got our pieces and we just worked on it and created it in our mind and went for it. And we're very pleased with the way our kitchen looks. Relatively speaking, as everyone will tell you, if you hire a bunch of contractors, you'll spend X. If you do it yourself, X. So we're at X. We've spent this much to do all this creating. And we did not sit out and go, this is how it's going to look. Cabinets, yeah. We went from wood to white. The butcher block or hardwood surface we got rid of and got granite. We've done a bunch of stuff, but we created it in our mind and went for it. No one came in and said or showed us a catalog.
Right.
That's the thing that really serves our soul, is to create, find, and interpret our way. I've never worked with saltillo tile. It's handmade. It's thick. It's bent. Some are big, some are a little bit smaller. You can't spacer the tile.
Yeah.
Make it perfect. You have to line up by eye, and you have to level it. Saltillo tile is fucking work, dude. And then you have to grout it, and the grout lines are thick. So yeah, we just allowing it to be something that's creative is more fun. It just it serves the soul better.
I
So
agree.
I'm not going to tell people the exact and the what's. I'm painting a vision and a view of the area I grew up in, and people are connecting on, oh, yeah, and they name the places.
Yeah.
But the names and the particular situations aren't always exact or precise, and I don't really care. I'm not trying to.
But
I can't say Bally's Park Place. I can say
Right.
Bixby's. I can't say Sands. I can say hot desert or whatever. I have to I have to change it.
right. But it makes it, I think, funner because it's not a documentary.
No.
It's a dramatized
Sure.
version of
Sure.
events that, some took place, some maybe are, dramatized in this way or another. But I think for somebody who actually lived that life, around you, around that time, even as an observer, maybe not somebody who's in it,
Sure.
he gets to jump into your seat and live that. And something about giving it room to wiggle is fun.
Yeah.
It makes it a little more interesting. So it's not a 1-to-1 scale. It's there's a little bit of freedom for creativity and fun and adventure in it. So I think I would enjoy that a lot more. A book that would tell a story that revolves around the time I grew up in and where I did.
Sure.
In a way that's more it has a little bit more spark than somebody telling it in a way exactly how it was, because I don't really need that recollection. Maybe it'll be fun to read, and for 2 minutes I can recall some events, but I already lived it the way it was. Something about it giving it a little change is like you're telling a story about my neighborhood, my times, and the things that happen, and you're making it also fun and interesting. So I'm getting one, going back there in time. So it's kind of like what did they call it? A blast from the past.
Yeah, blast from the past, exactly. Yeah.
And on top of that, I'm still getting drawn in by, this fiction portion of it.
Right.
So I do like that. And you don't owe anybody an explanation on how that.
I don't think I do.
No, I agree 100%. I mean, creativity shouldn't be limited in that way. So I like that about your writing and about your book, and I can't wait to get into this new one. Should I wait for any edits or?
No, this book is now fully. It's out there right now. You can buy it on Amazon right now. So book 2 is out.
That's where I got this one. I'll leave a link below for these 2 books. Is there anything else that's out, or you're working on 3?
So I'm working on 3 right now. So I said earlier, Greetings from South Jersey, Casino Boy is book 1, and we developed this front cover with the idea that this is a postcard that tourists and people can get on the boardwalk. And then that people had to guess what that scene was from back home, and many did and some didn't. And then when they found out what it was, they're like, oh, and that ties into book 3 when I get to that location.
Right.
Book 2 was real simple. I wanted to do the twist on the Philadelphia connection that goes on within South Jersey. It's a Philly connection, and people read and find out what the Philly connection is, and they go, oh, it's a double thing. So they get that. Now, book 3 is called Summers Point Royalty. So I went to high school, Mainland Regional High School. Well, I get to film this now. So I went to high school at Mainland Regional High School, and the 3 cities that draw to that, Linwood, Northfield, Summers Point, all have deep connections within my family for many, many reasons. So I decided to name book 3 Summers Point Royalty, which speaks to the hierarchies that are running things in the area. It's been a very general explanation. And I got to work this stuff. So So Summers Point Royalty will come out here in about 6 weeks. I have changed the direction of the book several times because I'm trying to really tap into a particular element that I want people to be able to grab onto, and that's not just local, which is important to me, but then expand it. It's gone global. He's going to meet a guy that's going to tell him, I do this, and it's in an exact location. He gets there and realizes, he's doing this, and it connects to his family, and then he gets deeper into the life, so to speak. So
when it comes to crime, the world is pretty small.
It really is, man. I mean, I'm just telling you, dude. When it comes to crime, the world is very small. I've got Montreal in there. I've got the Far East, and I've got exotic Pacific location. And it all makes sense, of course, and it's historically based. When people my age read it, they're going to look at it and go, oh, I mean, historically speaking, the John DeLoreans of the world and the George Steinbrenners, all these people that I had influences in my life and the stories that they did, just take bits of that and then amalgamate it into some other character type person.
Right.
And you get it. I mean, I even made a Falkland Island reference in my book, in the new book, and kids that are in their 20s don't know what the Falkland Islands are. Well, guess what? I can tell you that the British had a battleship sunk by an exocet missile that the French sold the Argentinians. I mean, I know that story, but what the hell's an exocet missile? And there's a long story. There's a big story of Battle of the Falkland Islands. So anyway, book 3 will be out here in about 6 weeks. I've moved it a couple times because my one character is growing. I'm like, oh, I got to make it work. I've got to make this local story that people relate to work historically and also keep these guys moving. Right. I've got like 8 to 10 characters that have some really cool stuff going on. My wife's like, how are you going to do this? I got to move it into book 4 and I got to move it into book 5. I can't get it all into book 3.
Yeah.
So I'm already about 75,000 words in and I've moved it a bit. But I want it to be so people can read it and go, got the local, got the new influence, got the historical. And by the way, here's the international pieces that are coming in. And then book 4 is the clash between the old guard and the new guard in Atlantic City over the movement of the particular products.
So we'll have to wait a little bit.
Yeah. It's coming.
Very good.
It's coming. Yeah.
Last time we were here, we were talking about audiobook. Is that a thing you're thinking about?
I did look it up, and I would actually, we've talked about it. I'd love to try to do it with you and see if, just to test it and try it.
Sure.
Now, can I do it in my voice? I don't know. Does this voice even play?
Absolutely.
Are you sure?
I'll give you.
It's a fucked up voice, dude.
That's the type of voice you're looking for.
All right, man. Well, if you want fucked up voices, you got mine.
My take, very simple. People, we got to the point where technology really plays when it comes to consuming content, period. Audio plays a huge part of it.
Yep.
I think a larger number of people consume podcasts via audio only than they do video.
So you're saying you want to do this?
I'm saying, first of all, you should.
Do you want to do this? Well, I'll do the deal with you. It's not a problem. We can. I'm not worried about the money.
I can help you out technology-wise. I'm not gonna ever charge anybody for something like this. But
we could do a deal. Let's have some fun with this. It's only one book. I don't know if I can audio all the books myself. My voice, I just.
You should. Yeah, you should try at least one, and then it will be the original. But my take again is, one, people consume audiobooks a large amount that wouldn't read paperback. That's a piece of audience that would lose on having the access to certain books if they don't get narrated. And 2, you asked my voice, and I just think my favorite books are narrated by the author.
Oh my God.
Why? Because it's the connection.
Oh my God.
It's just how it is. So my favorite audiobooks.
We'll test something. Well, we're good.
Yeah, you go find something in there.
I can actually do this.
It makes the connection. It's like, it's not only the story, it's the person is telling it with his emotions, with his everything. You can hear him, some of the books that I've read, you can really hear the author get emotionally influenced by his writing when he reads it himself. It's interesting. Now, some great books don't have the liberty of getting that. Some do, but I just think it's an awesome thing to have. And maybe there'll only be one that's narrated by you, and people will just have to accept that.
See, I'm wondering, because of the characters, because I know I've already talked to my wife about this after you and I talked about doing a different inflection for the different characters. I have a lot of people on here. Yeah. If I do my Uncle Bone, he's going to talk like this. If I do my father, he'll be more straightforward. If I do my mother, she's going to be soft. If I do my Nana, she's more lean in and whispery.
Yeah, well, it seems like you've got the skills.
If I do Luca, Luca's going to talk like this. If I do Paul, Paul's more high up and he's more. So I know I can do it, but I've got to practice it and I have to be able to look at a board and say, now I'm doing Gino and now I'm doing Luca.
Right.
Is that what people do?
Yes, there's softwares and services that their entire essence is helping people narrate their own books, or just narrate other people's books.
Okay, yeah. But they cost, man.
It's not bad, and it really is not bad.
What do you think? Not bad. 1,200, 2,003. What is the number you think?
I've never did this for myself, so I can help you look it up. But I think it's by far worth the value if you open up the potential audience.
Okay, so let's just establish. You sold me. I hear. I can feel it. You want it. This is something that should be done. You think I can expand my audience?
Absolutely. And timing is also not extremely sensitive, so you can do your own, release times and even get to book 4 before you ever record an audiobook. Maybe you can do the whole series before you even record an audiobook and see, how reach is. But I just think that having that option opens up, the potential is insane. You should look up statistics, but I just think from my experience that the amount of people that would consume a book on audio today I think it's larger than the people that would paperback.
So, good question. I know I've got the technology in my home now to record. That's a general statement, but that's true. I just know I do.
You don't need anything. You need a mic and a computer.
I've already got. Yes, already. So
I'm gonna have to.
Here we are getting the technical aspects of this.
Yeah.
Do you see this being
I think if you turn it this way, like yaw it, then it would stop having weight over to the other side.
This?
Yeah, so kind of like this.
Oh, back and forth. Okay.
There you go.
Maybe I can't do this in my house.
You just proved it here.
Yeah. So here we are getting the technical aspects of it. So this venue, is this the ultimate venue to be able to edit it right, or just go for it? Go in my house, get it on, test it. And
no, there's no.
What do you think?
There's no ultimate way. I think a good.
But to get a good crisp audio, is this the place to do it, or can I go for it, test it, and if it sounds good, I just go for it?
First of all, you don't need a setup like this to record. All you need is, like, I'll show you in a second. There's little, basically, it's an acoustic little U-shape
yes,
type
I've seen
of thing.
Those. Yeah,
where you kind of bury your mic in there, and you're in an acoustic room. So, for the sake of recording, that part is covered, and you can do that in your backyard. Nobody would ever know. So a quality mic. A computer that's not going to crash while you're recording.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah, and some acoustic help.
Okay,
but that's all you need. So it's not a $12,000, something. Not that this was. This is all thrift. You said Jews are thrifty, right? Going back to the beginning.
Jews are thrifty.
Yeah.
I've got so many. There's a thing on YouTube called Old Jews Telling Jokes.
Yeah.
I love it. And then I'm telling Michael Michael's like, ugh, that's so stupid. I go, this is good stuff. These are old Jews telling old Jew jokes. They're fantastic.
I love it.
He just rolls his eyes. Chuck, you just have to stop. I go, no, I got good material now. I got great.
If you grew up in that time, you'd also get it. So
yeah, it's funny to me. It's funny to hear. Anyway, I like it. And there's so many of them because they went from 1 to 2.
Yeah.
Before you know, there's like 100 out there, and I'll watch all of them.
Yeah.
I love that old comedy, that old setup, and the good. I just
my wife is into that too. Like,
I love it.
Somebody tells her a more modern joke, and no, but and one of our uncles tells her one of those 1970s joke, and she rolls down the hallway.
It's a great set. The setups, the setups are fun.
Yeah.
The guys, the people doing them are doing the voice inflections, and they're it's great. And my wife is like, she's from Michigan. She don't get it.
Yeah.
She's like,
what
are they doing? I go, honey, let me just watch it.
Yeah. New York, Jersey, and all that region versus Michigan. Yeah, that's a big difference when it comes to humor and comedy.
And food. She thinks black pepper is a heavy spice. So if I'm doing potato salad, it's like, okay, one, 2, that's enough. Okay.
Put it away.
But the salt, you can do this all day with.
Yeah, and butter.
And mayonnaise.
Oh, no.
Although she's really more of a mustard person. She's not so much.
Yeah. No, I hate the amount of butter people put on food. It's not for me. I didn't grow up with it.
Yeah.
But spicy food, Israel is, like I said, is a melting pot. And the amount of ethnicities that brought cuisines in, oh my gosh, I'm so thankful for that. Because growing up with my background is Ashkenazi Jew, which generally speaking means the most boring food on earth.
Describe boring. Unleavened bread. What are you talking? What's going on here?
It's boring, gefilte fish and all that stuff. I never liked that. But then, I had the opportunity to grow up in a place where all the cuisines meet. You go to Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, everywhere, and everywhere you look, you can eat pretty much anything from the places we all came from. And
it's wonderful.
It is wonderful. And one of my favorite, it's probably the third time I say this on this podcast, is Moroccan fish.
Ooh.
That thing will bite you as far as how spicy it gets.
Really?
Especially if they make it, not for an Ashkenazi guest.
What's the base fish? What fish are they using?
Whatever's local.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's not really that much about the fish as it is about the spices and about everything that, goes around it. It's hot, it's red. It's
got all the elements you're looking for, man. It gets your eyes going and everything else.
Yeah. And
that's good.
Yeah, the spices that come from Morocco that that immigration brought. Yeah, you're either into it or you're not, but it's really good.
You go to Mexico, and particular parts of Mexico, they have what do they call that? The shawarma, or the big giant V of the meats.
Shawarma.
That is not obviously Latin American. That is obviously Middle Eastern. And the elements are is it where did the specifically, is it Lebanese or Turk? There's something about that particular
method
that was brought to Mexico, and they've obviously taken it on.
Yeah, just don't ask Middle Easterns where it's from, because they won't agree on it. But they might get into a fight.
That's funny to me. That's funny. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, even if you ask Google where falafel is from, it's like we don't know.
Here we go.
Yeah, better just not get into it.
Don't.
Yeah,
just eat it.
But we know who makes the best, and I guess that's an individual thing. But
sure.
In my opinion, Lebanese make the best falafel. And different ethnicities make the best shawarma.
Sure.
And all that kind of stuff. But that is that area of the world. Shawarma, falafel, all that stuff.
Just a little go back to fish. I watch. I think you and I talked about this, watching YouTube videos and all different things. I like watching fish cleaning videos because I'm fascinated, at the size of the fish they're pulling out of these waters all over the world.
It's unreal.
It's unbelievable. And a lot of it, freshwater, these are fast-growing, aggressive fish. Your carps and the grass carps, man, they proliferate, man. Carp, they just explode, and they grow fast. Tilapias and a type of fish does the same thing. So I'm like, wow, where do they get these large fish? Well, if it's a big enough water source, they're going to have a lot of these fish. And to watch them being cleaned is fascinating to me, because here I am, North America, United States, and we're getting,
Uber Eats.
Yeah, Uber Eats, and, pieces of cod from King Super. It's, and yet in the world, they're eating and producing or processing these fish that don't get marketed here. But if I'm there, I'm eating plenty of that.
Right.
I want to be part of it, and I actually want to be part of the cleaning. I want to do that because this fish is huge, and carp have a lot of cartilage and so forth, and the way they process and clean it to get it to chunks, it's fascinating to me, and I really love watching that. But most people would be like, carp. There's so much carp in here.
That's where we got, and as a society, like we don't really are connected anymore to where our stuff comes from. Not even food. I was driving on the road with one of my colleagues the other day, and this is something I keep bringing up, and it gets annoying when I do that because I really get into it, but it really blows my mind in a way that sometimes people are just like, just shut up. But all the things that we see when we're driving around, taken for granted, if it's the asphalt on the road and the signs and the light fixtures and the cars and all that stuff, none of that came from space. We dug that stuff out of the ground and put it together. So every piece of material that you see, including this and that and this microphone and everything in here, it's material that's missing somewhere else.
Okay, yeah. I see what you're saying.
Everything.
Okay. And
when you start looking at the world outside the room and see how much we have erected above the surface, you realize everything I see here, the glass, the metal, the roads, the stupid leather on my seat, it all came from this earth, and it's missing somewhere else. It's you have to give something to get something.
Yes.
There's no free lunches. And that's, Newton says it best, in his second law, which is for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And you can pretty much use that and apply that, sometimes not in the most accurate mathematical way, but to almost everything. Human interaction, material on the road, it's everything you're looking at. The energy that was derived to make that into what it is has taken a toll somewhere else.
It leads me to think about dumps.
Right.
Dump sites.
Yeah. Where do you think your garbage is going to?
What is true waste? Because it's a place of convenience. Just take stuff there, as opposed to we have all the stuff left over. Let's give the slop to the pigs. Let's take the paper products and burn them. I mean, we don't do that.
Right.
We don't do that. I live in Aurora in a 6-story building with other people 55 and over. There's no pigs to slop. There's no actual someone I'm sorting paper with.
Yeah.
We were in Dominican Republic on a vacation. We took a working vacation. You could volunteer and you go there. You could work in a paper place. The women made paper. These women were taking paper, white sheets of paper, and they were ripping off the colors and the writing on it and getting it down to just a clean paper. Then they would shred them into small pieces, because what they found was, as they processed it, you can't cut it. Cutting is too close a line. Tangent, Saudi Arabian sand, wind blown, can't use it in construction. They got to get their stuff from Australia and Scotland. That blows my mind. The Saudis can't use their own sand for construction. Like, they don't have enough sand. So in these paper mills, these women are shredding so they can create the ripped edges, which process better, because they, in essence, take all the stuff, put it in a washer. It washes in a washer. That pulp comes out, and then they mash it up, and then they spread it and make paper. But you can't make it out of cut paper.
That's insane.
Fascinating to me. So that's watching people take waste product, creating a new product, and the paper came out wonderful. We were so excited to buy it and use it. But in the world, like I said, here we are in Aurora, Colorado. You and I aren't slopping the pigs, dude.
No.
You and I are not going through the paper and going, let's use this.
That's the price. So if we're applying this law, that there's an equal and opposite reaction, it's that for this comfort, for this level of comfort that we shot ourselves into, it's a tall trajectory. It's a tall order.
Sure.
That also has a big deficit somewhere else.
Absolutely.
And that deficit manifests itself in this case in, how we treat, the things we're taking from. And that's nature, so looks like humanity's coming to be a little bit more aware of it. I'd be the first to admit that I had zero awareness to that as a kid. I was like, I don't care where my Nintendo came from.
Sure.
Like, I don't care what plastic is. Just let me play Michael Jordan. It's the 90s. I want to play the Bulls while they were the best. I had zero thought about where all this comes from. But you're right.
In the 1960s,
there's a price you have to pay.
This is a story that I knew back in the early 80s, and it's been in the paper recently. It's not something I could be sued over, so I'll talk about it. The Monsanto Corporation was dumping barrels of DDT into the channel between Southern California and the Catalina Islands. I knew about it because I was fishing those shores and being told by locals, do not keep the Tommy croakers. Tommy croakers are a white fish. It looks like a pike in some sort, and they eat the worms on the bottom, and the worms have the DDT in them because of on the bottom. Okay, I knew that. I go to Mexico with my son. On his graduation trip, we go to Puerto Penasco, and we're pulling up croakers. And I'm like, I'm not keeping Tommy croakers. Well, guess what? Croakers aren't a problem in Mexico because it's not the same area in all the waters. Got that. To your point about, we mentioned about comfort. You were saying comfort earlier, and that made me think about when we talked about earlier about the coffee kicking in at some point in time. So I'm going to get toward a wind-up sort of a thing here, so because I'm going to eventually need to stop because of coffee. But here's what I'm going to say to you, because I had something on my mind, even though we're unscripted. There's something that's been thinking about last few days, and I know I want to talk about it. So dig this. We have Memorial Day. We memorialize those who have fallen. That's a very general way to say it. I don't want to get into all the specifics. we have Memorial Day, and that is on the calendar. Everybody joins in, and that's the thing we do. Some people think it's just a 3-day weekend. Others understand what it is, and they honor it. Okay. So all the stuff we're talking about, everything that you and I have been sharing, one of the things I think you and I understand and agree on is the energies that's put out, the idea of how we put stuff out into the world and how it comes back to us. It really comes home for me during Memorial Day, because Memorial Day is a scheduled time for us to honor those who have fallen. In a more general sense, people that have died. People aren't with us anymore. Let me take it over here. I don't read obituaries. I refuse to open up the paper and look at obituaries. I've seen it done by my parents when I was a kid. I see it done by some people I know. My wife has done it occasionally, and I make it a very simple thing. And this could be a long conversation. This really could. I'm going to try not to make it that. Just going to try to give what I got. I put my time into prayer and meditation, and I don't spend a lot of time doing it. I give it the simplistic approach to giving thanks and asking the universe for things. So it's ironic when Memorial Day comes, I know that it's ingrained that we do it, and I'm on board with it. There's nothing negative about this. But I also know today's Tuesday. We've moved past memorializing because it was scheduled, and now I'm into celebrating the life that's here, and not to be disrespectful and not to say, oh, I don't want to care about people who died. I think what I'm doing is two things. One is the negative thing. I'm whistling past the graveyard, 59 turning 60. So I don't really want to talk about death. The other thing is that I do want to actually celebrate what's in front of us. So I do that prayer and give thanks, and then I meditate, ask for things. And it's ironic because I'm not sure who to talk to about it. I'm not sure who to tell. I'm not sure who I can sit down and, besides this venue, who to get into it and see where I'll go. I don't think it'll be a great conversation to have with my wife, a little bit with my kids, but for the most part, it's a different way of thinking, I think. And I'm trying to say it in the most positive way. I truly believe that reading obituaries is not going to serve me. That's the best way I can say it.
Yeah.
I don't feel it's the right energy for me. I think the way for me to best support and to move my life and other people's lives forward is to celebrate and maintain the positive and keep it going.
I can say two things about that.
Yeah.
One is, you mentioned earlier that some people, honor it. Some people don't really know what that means necessarily. But to me, it's being a veteran of my country. It's different, first of all, because everybody is a veteran there. So we all served.
Is it 2 years minimum?
2 for ladies, might have changed by now. 3 for guys, for men. I did 5 just because I wanted to be an officer and all that good stuff. But enough about that. My point is, it kind of is an equalizer in that sense. And in Israel, the way the government set it up is that we have Memorial Day followed that night by Independence Day. So the motion from grief and honor over our fallen who made the ultimate sacrifice for what Israel believes is the ultimate freedom for the Jewish people to exist in the country, and we'll not get into that because there's a lot of complications there.
I can sit back. I think we've got time.
Yeah. There's no saints on either side. Both are wrong. Both are right in some ways. But point is, it's followed that way to get back to the principle we were talking about, because we go from memorializing our fallen who made their ultimate sacrifice for what they believed in, immediately that night to fireworks, celebration of life, celebration of independence.
Do you like and agree with that?
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
I think that it's the way to go, and that is because, one, we don't mourn and grieve 365 days out of the year. That's not a thing.
You're a country that could.
We sure could, and that's why we don't do it. And I think that we also, in the Jewish tradition, we also have a very specified methodology around grieving losses in the family.
Shiva?
Yeah, Shiva. And then how long do you get to grieve with everybody? How long do you get to grieve for yourself? There's a deadline where you move on with your life. and you have a day where you can go back to the grave and do your thing, but it's a day after that. So
Place the stone.
Right. You go from immediate loss to getting to do your grief in the most extreme way, in the most helpful way, the most supportive way. But then when the time comes, we move on. And that's the right way, I think, to grief. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. It isn't. But to your point, I think there is something very important in going from memorializing and honoring to immediately continuing to celebrate life.
You say immediately.
Totally.
Yeah.
Do that. Make it worth. Make it valuable. Do it with your whole heart, but don't let that draw you into the rabbit hole. Specifically, as a people, it's time to do something productive. People that allow themselves to mourn and get lost in that rabbit hole of sorrow become unproductive.
This doesn't sound very Catholic.
Become very depressed.
And I'm sorry, I'm not Catholic, but I've been around enough.
Right.
And Methodist, even Methodist.
Yeah. I think the greatness of some parts of humanity is that we can put a stop to some level of negative emotion and take it from there, moving forward. I don't want to talk about Israel that much, but the people that came from there, some parts of that generation came from the Holocaust.
Absolutely.
Most of them teach their young ones not to worry about that more than once a year. There's a day. It's Holocaust Day, and that's where we, remember that. And, the saying is never forget. I agree with that.
Absolutely.
But they don't let people sink into that. And they tell their younger generation.
Because then you're a victim.
Go build.
You truly are a victim.
Right. Go build. Go make yourself a life. Go to school. Make a family. Be good. Be kind. Don't go around Germany finding your old house. Nobody's holding the keys to that anymore. It's in the past. And never forget, one day a year. After that, go be productive. I think it's very important to adopt that, and I love that about the tradition. And of course, you can't just dismiss history. Another thing that I really don't like is trying to erase.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
if I didn't drink a lot of coffee, we would be here for quite a while.
Yeah, I won't get into that. I get that. People disagree on that, but to your point, I think it's important to have a day to remember, and also take that with a grain of celebration, because that sacrifice led to your ability to be here, free, and do what you want to do.
Okay, so can we go a couple levels over here? Let's go over here.
Let's try. See how much trouble we get in.
Let's talk about higher consciousness. Let's get into afterlife just a bit, because I'm watching a special on it, and my wife and I have had experience with ourselves about reaching out and connecting. And, we can get into the idea that there may be some charlatans out there, and we can get into the idea that there might be some people that can connect into different planes and levels of existence.
Sure.
So I'm going to make an assumption for the purposes of this conversation. Let's just say you and I can talk about speaking to people who have since passed to this plane. They're not here physically anymore.
Yeah.
I believe that actually does take place. I believe that there is an energy. There is something I can't describe. It's along the realm of, it's an ever-expanding universe. Dude, if it is, what's on the other side? I don't even know. How can it keep expanding? What does it look like? Because if it's expanding, what's over here? So I get into this deep stuff, so I'll try to make it simple. I feel, along the lines of what you just said, I feel that there's another part to that. If you want to go farther than that, you want to celebrate, you want to honor, you can also sit and go, well, I want to know more. Okay, there's more. You can actually, there's a place to go, there's people to connect with that can help you communicate. Do I know it for an absolute fact? I don't, but I've been in it myself. My wife has done it. I've seen enough to know that there's something more. There seems to be something more. Now, I don't want to make a connection and say, I'm so sorry I don't want to do that. What I want to do is maybe get a connection that there's something more that's positive that's out. Because and this is the payoff for me. I just want to tell my kids, look, man, what we're doing now is everything. If this physical being goes, yes, we're going to have a few. We're going to do that. But after that, if you need to do more, you might have an opportunity. It's at least in your heart and your mind to know that I'm always there, because I'm telling you that now. But if you need to do more, you can do these things. But I do not want anybody going, oh, I feel so horrible. I mean, I know they're going to feel bad, and I'm going to feel bad.
Yeah, but that's not what you wish for.
I don't want that, man. I mean, and here, I mean, I can feel it when I'm talking to you. I can feel it. I don't want that.
Yeah.
I really want people to, like, do the real thing. Have a laugh. I laugh about my pop, my mom, my aunts, my uncles. I laugh about them because that, I know in their heart, while they were on this earth physically and just toward the end, I know in their heart that's what they want. They want me to tell the stories. I tell my stories all the time.
Right.
I don't talk about end days and decrepit. You don't do that, man.
Yeah, that's funny that you say that, because in Shiva, when people sit down for 7 days and mourn their lost family members, there is way more laughter and storytelling than there is, sobbing and crying. People sob and cry, they just lost somebody. But the tradition is having a bunch of people from all over anybody that remotely knew this person and was affected by them shows up with a pot of some type of food. And, it's...
What a wonderful start right there.
Yeah. It's a 24/7 around the clock. Everybody's at your house because that's where you sit. And, they tell the story. This is how I met your dad. This is what he did for me. And then, he was so like this, and everybody's laughing. And it's the way to do it. It's
fantastic.
You're not, there to just all, bow your heads. And there are moments when people get in prayer and, they sink in thoughts, but most of it is around celebrating their life, because they had an amazing life, and people were positively affected by them and had a good time having them in their life, and their life took a change to the better because of them, and they tell that story. And that's the part I really like, because it makes it not a threatening place for somebody who just lost someone to be in. It's hugging. It's, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, sitting with a bunch of people in your house, some of them you never met, could be extremely uncomfortable. But we make it so it's not that bad. It's as best as it can be. I really do like that, celebration of life. And I have something to say about afterlife and talking to the dead and all that, but we'll get to that after you say what you want to say.
My future son-in-law is Jewish, so we've had our conversations about particular aspects of our backgrounds and past, and we connect on so many levels. We're just good. I really love Michael a lot, and I've told them that early on, and it meant so much to my daughter. She just had almost tears in her eyes, just saying, she was like, "Thank you." I'm like, Michael and I are good. We hit it. So, so I told him the most important thing to me is that I asked him, "Do you love my daughter?" He goes, "I love your daughter very much." We're good. Because years ago, when my wife and I first met, we were both going through bad divorces. Bad situation. We got together. There's some negativity there that people could hound on and say, "You guys did this." So my future father-in-law and I were sitting down and talking about different aspects of that. We were going through some traumatic times. There was divorce and kids and all kind of things people could point to and say, "What are you guys doing?" Well, Linda and I were attracted, and we felt something, and we're together to this day. He asked me the question, "Do you love my daughter?" And I said, "I love her very much." And he said, "That's all that matters to me." And at his funeral, when I got up to speak, that's the story I told. I said, Bryce meant so much to me, and so many funny stories. We had laughs, but I said, he asked me the question. He said, "Do you love my daughter?" And I said, "Yes, very much." And he said, "That's all that matters."
He just needed to look you in the eyes and see what you...
That was it. And then the funny thing was, because he was an agricultural engineer, he said, and I said to the group, in the church when I was speaking, I said, and then he started talking about sewer water. And they just all broke up laughing, because he would go into all these stories. Right. So really, that's what it comes down to. For me, it was, you know, who are you in your heart? Where are you going? And does this if that's it, then I'm good. I should at least be able to accept that. And he did. He was the first one to really be able to accept the fact that Linda and I really cared about each other. You know,
it's funny. Yeah, a lot of people don't have that openness to just accept somebody new with very little terms. But sounds like
almost unconditional. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lighter way to live. It's heavier to put those conditions on.
Yeah. Well, the only condition was he was wanting to look you in the eyes and hear you say the words and see if you are really there. Your intentions are right. And once that's there, it doesn't matter that much who you are. It just matters where your heart is.
Now, what's your afterlife take?
Oh, you're interested in that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I want to hear this because you've got something, so give it to me.
Oh, sure. No, well, first of all, I was always curious about the subject. Let me roll that back. I was always curious, period, about everything.
Sure.
At least everything I remember. So supernatural, naturally, is a super interesting thing. Very,
you think?
It draws curiosity. Yeah, like,
thousands of years.
Yeah. Oh, sure. So I always, looked into it and wanted to hear more about it and listen to people that thought or told me that they knew more about it. And like you said, that area draws a lot of BS too.
Sure it does.
Actually, I just bought a piece of art. I don't know if it was here last time you were here.
Let's see it.
So I need to hang this still, but this is Glycon.
Okay.
Let me just put it up here.
You said it's called Glycon. All right.
Yeah, Glycon from Greek history. Anyway, the guy was a charlatan, but he used this snake guy that they made a statue out of, and he put a wire through it and made it seem like he can talk and put a little wig on it.
When was this? You said Greek. I'm thinking back, and then
yeah,
Athens is just the Parthenon just being made. When is this?
Yeah, a little around that time.
What? He was using wires then?
Well, yeah, just like a metal wire. They were pretty advanced. They had bars. They had little carrots. But the story is told by somebody much better than me, and I'll leave a link to that because it's fascinating. But the point is, supernatural is attractive.
Sure.
And this was just a good example of charlatanism, if that's a word. But I was very curious, so I always looked into it. And when somebody had something to say about it, I had my ears wide open. And
got your attention.
And I think something that really served me in life, it has to do with open-mindedness, is I was honestly willing to try new things with an open mind. So it's different when you tell somebody, hey, try this, and they're like, whatever, yeah, okay, and he just does the act. I always felt like I'm willing to give it my best to believe that we're doing something that I've never experienced before.
You're open-minded, like you said.
You're right. And that led me to, being exposed to more stories, more experiences, more people that did this and that. And to this day, it's not like I have an established I know opinion, because when people say I know, I already kind of lose interest. It's just, you don't. And like you said, you kept caveating what you're saying, whether it feels like it is or not. You know that you don't know. So,
sure.
Philosophers from the past, the best of them say, the ultimate wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. That's Socrates. He tells himself and everybody around him, just keep an open mind. You might not know for sure. And I think that's what he meant. But the point is that in my time, I got a lot of stories. And some of them came from people I truly have no way to doubt, because I believe them, because I know them for many, many years. One of them is my mother. Whether this thing, these types of communications or stuff like that happens inside the brain or from outside into us, I don't know, and I won't be able to testify on that. But the experiences that I've heard and collected over time, combined with people that I know, the consensus was there are some similarities, which is interesting.
This is your empirical data. This is what you've got.
Right.
This is Ito's empirical data.
Right.
Okay.
And it keeps coming back when it comes to near-death experiences. People keep describing the same thing. Some people give it a scientific explanation. Some people give it a spiritual explanation. But bottom line is, and I don't think my mom would object to me telling the story. When her dad died, and she always had very, very spiritual open-mindedness and interpretation of events in different ways. She had communications with her father while he was, he was already buried at that point, but kind of like while he was going through his process, and she's describing things and telling me things that she never knew. Doesn't mean she couldn't make it up in her head, but my interpretation of her experiences were she actually did have communication of some sort, and it could come in a spiritual way in a plane that is not physical. And assuming that physical doesn't exist is just as silly and irresponsible as assuming it does.
Okay, so that's like saying assuming that we're the only intelligent life in the entire universe. It's just as silly as saying that.
Yeah, I mean, statistically, I think it's dangerous.
Yeah,
because
it's closed-minded. I know that.
It is. Now, I'm not a scientist or an astronomist or any of those things, but I do think that what we see and feel with our senses is limited to a certain degree. I do think that there's more going on. That's just my personal feeling. You can call it a belief or whatever, and I'm open to changing that. But as of right now, I do feel like there is some level of communication, even between me and you right now, that happens outside vocals, eyes, smell, ears. It's, you call it intuition.
A vibe of intuition, sure.
Something that I can put out and you can pick up.
Yep.
And it's not with your senses that you know of. It's with your senses, just not the ones that we mainly refer to. And it's the thing that wakes up my mom when I'm hurting myself as a teenager, and she calls my cell phone and says, "What's going on?" I don't know whether these things are transferred.
Mother's intuition.
Yeah, sure. We have to give it an explanation.
That's what it's been called.
If it's not anchored and stable, it's uncomfortable for people.
Absolutely.
So people need a story that's solid. Don't shake me and rattle my cage. And I get that. I respect that. I just like exploring outside of that box because I'm curious.
Can I touch a little bit on what you're saying?
Sure.
The idea of people saying the hair standing up on the back of my neck, that is from our past as humans without being desensitized.
Right.
That's my basic explanation. They've used that expression, the hair standing up the back of my neck, because your senses were working. These days, people don't say that because we're so desensitized. Very general way to say we're living in modern times, but going to different stories about different parts of our existence, the power of prayer. Oh, it's the power of positive thinking. If you believe so too, you shall do. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
It certainly does beat, and this is almost common sense that people have forgotten about. If you say you're going to lose, you're going to lose. If you say you're going to win, your odds are better. As an ex-crap dealer, I like to play the odds. That's why I'm not just an Uber driver. I'm an Uber Lyft driver. If there was a third one, I'd join that too. I play the numbers, play the odds. I feel that we're living in a time we've desensitized. If we would just slow down, quiet, get the calm and quiet, and feel it, you can feel your way through a lot of different things that we're not feeling our way through these days. That's why I like the whiteboard. I love the whiteboard.
What do you mean by that?
The whiteboard is my kids got this, that going on. We're going to sit down and we're going to put it up on the whiteboard so we're all to see. You're going to visualize it. We're going to talk through it. We're going to try to agree on errors, and we're going to make a plan. And you can stick to the plan or you can follow part of the plan, but you're going to get it out. The most basic aspect of going forward is to make a plan.
True.
In the military,
goal.
Do you get up and just grow a scraggly beard? Aren't you supposed to? Even in the field, they taught soldiers to try to shave. You've got to be able to feel like you're accomplishing and moving small things forward. Shooting from the hip and trying to hope and wish. It can be fun, but we get back to the most basic aspects of our humanness, which is if you so feel it, if you can think it, if you can move it, in your mind, you can probably get it going physically. And all those things connect.
Right.
I think I talked to you about this before, about marijuana. I've got a past with it. I don't have a present with it. Why? It's my choice. Why? Because I'll tell you, marijuana chemically does not mix with me well for me to do what I want to do and do this. I wouldn't be here if I was smoking pot. That is not a comment on anybody else doing it, whether they're ingesting it, vaping, and smoking. It has nothing to do with them. It's me. I'm telling you, I can discuss this stuff and I can go farther. We can do it on an energy level that's here because I'm not smoking marijuana. It doesn't mix with me chemically. I will not go forward. I will not make a plan. I certainly won't be successful. I know myself.
Yeah.
But I don't put that on anybody else.
Sure.
So
this is your personal experience and you've made peace with it.
That's it. That's all it is to it. I'm not going against anybody. If you want to do your thing, that's cool, man. I just know that if we're going to do this, you got to have me.
Black coffee.
Or mezcal, and you got your, what was it, pecan flavored whiskey? And my buddy with his peanut butter whiskey. Jesus.
Crack my balls over it. Here, I got man's whiskey over here.
Oh, is this Colorado? Is Bullet Ride Colorado? No, there's one with that cap.
That's outside my circle of competence. I don't know.
Wow. Sorry about that. Hey, do you have a circle of bathrooms around here anywhere?
Sure. I'll say one more thing on on your attitude, positivity, and putting that word out, and how I think that affects things. Because we did talk about that last time, and that was interesting, and we can try to wrap up with that. So when people say, remember that book came out? What was it called? The Secret.
Yeah. Oh, believe me, because I read The Secret and I watched it.
Right. And people are like, oh, this is bullshit. Da, da, da. And the way it's depicted, even though it explains the same principle we just talked about, which is, say it and make it happen.
Say it, make it happen.
And the way it's depicted is a little too magical and hocus pocus.
The video they did, all this production, all that music and everything.
But scientifically, it's been proven that when you speak things into your physical world, with your vocal, whether you're saying it in your brain or out to the world,
right?
Your brain starts picking up on that intention. It's not necessarily in the form of words, but it's picking up on a problem that you're trying to solve, and the brain is pretty sophisticated, and it starts solving that problem.
Starts firing.
It fires. Right. Whether you're awake or you're asleep.
Sure.
It actually does a much better job at solving problems when you're asleep. That's why they say sleep on it. Einstein did this thing that he used sleep to overcome problems, and I'll tell that short story in a second. But my point is, when you say stuff out, your brain starts working on it.
Yes.
And it works the same way. If somebody needs an easy example to kind of like resonate with, when you think about a new car that you just started liking and you start seeing it everywhere, it's the same thing.
Yes, I absolutely agree.
You bring your brain to an attention. There's too much sensory input coming in.
There is, yeah.
When you focus on something, you become better at identifying it. That's why you don't miss. If you're a male, unfortunately, we're chimpanzees in that form. You don't miss a beautiful girl walking down the road.
Absolutely not.
And beautiful just means whatever that your individual preference. But it's the same thing with red Corvette and whatever is your thing that you locked in as a kid and growing up, and you have a very strong ability to identify in a crowd. You'll see that. That same principle works everywhere else. So if you say to yourself, I'm going to start a podcast, your brain starts identifying all the parts that you need to make that happen. It might not happen right there and then, but the process starts. But if you tell yourself, I'm a loser, this always happens to me, the world's against me, God is against me, the universe is against me, those things, you start seeing them everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Now
they're on tuna fish cans. They can't open correctly because you can't. Oh my God, I can't turn it.
This always happens to me. And my experience and your experience might be parallel and equal, but the way I perceive it makes for a different outcome. Because I'm an optimist. That also sometimes is paired with naive. Pessimism is also sometimes paired with realist, right?
Yes.
Most people, you call them a pessimist, they take offense to that and say, I'm a realist, dude. You're naive. they're both kind of right, because optimist is willing to take the risk of the what can come down the side in your flank by being naive, but you stay positive and you see the positive and you keep aiming on the positive, and that's what comes out of that.
Didn't I tell you the story about a friend who told me that I was exerting or showing toxic positivity?
Bring this a little closer.
Yeah, he used the phrase toxic positivity, which it blew me away. I've never heard anybody use that phrase. It was new to me, and I thought, wow. Toxic positivity, you're saying that basically I'm just wearing rose-colored glasses. I'm not a rose-colored glasses guy. Hey, it's great, rainbows and unicorns. I'm not that guy. I'm fucking getting up. It's a funny way to say it. I'm going to pray, meditate, and I'm going to go out and take it.
Yeah.
And I'm not take from. There's a difference. I'm not going to take from. I'm going to take it. Whatever is out there that's in front of me that's available, I can avail myself of, I'll take it, and I'll give it back. I'll make sure the circle goes on. I'll give it back. So that is very important. But he used the phrase toxic positivity, and I talked to my wife about it, my kids. I went all over with it, and we got into it. And the bottom line is that his place where he's at is a different place than mine, and I get it. It's a longer story, but the bottom line is I get it, and I respected him, and I immediately respected him by saying
being on the same page on that.
We were cool with it, but I went back away into my corner and said, I'm not going to change. There's no way I'm getting up and going, oh, it's raining today. Man, I love the rain. It's snowing today. That's who I am. It's what I feel. So I'm not going to change that. But it does speak to the bigger picture, how you perceive and look at the world.
Yep.
Big statement, long conversation. But for you and I, we've decided. We've decided. We got there through trauma, through celebration, through so many, through education.
Upbringing.
Yeah, upbringing, everything. It's there. It got me to where I am today. I can promise you, I was a very, very different guy 30 years ago. Yeah. I'm not that same person. I'm definitely a person that is very thankful and grateful for what I have. I try to give it back. And I just realized, it just makes more sense for me to do things a certain way. I'm going to give you an example. I want you to hear this. We're living in a time when there's some tension out there with races and people, and white, black, Asian, all this crap going on in the news. Got it. We're at breakfast the other day. I go to get in my car because we came out of the restaurant, and there's an African-American lady and her son and her daughter, and it's a big car, and she has a door open, and I can't get to my car. Some people might consider that an awkward situation. Dude, that's not awkward for me. I sit there, and she dropped her phone, and I said, oh, thank God, you got a case. She goes, I need a bigger case. And I just start doing my shtick, and I said, let me tell you something. And I tell her my story about a case and the joke about, because I'm a contractor, I'm breaking everything. And I go, and I'll be damned, I'm getting that insurance for $6 a month. And they're laughing. Well, my son and my wife are waiting in the car, listening to me do my thing. And I get in the car, and my wife goes, you do it every time. And I do. And here's what I do. I disarm people. I disarm them with humor and love. Not like I'm kissing them, but I just put the positivity, the humor, and the love out and try to let that ferment. Just live in the moment. That could be a moment where you're in my way.
Right.
Oh, and I'm white and you're black. I'm not doing that shit, man. I'm doing you're not in my way. You're having a moment like I am. We're going to talk about have some fun. They were laughing. And I do the touch. I always do the touch. I always do the soft touch. Let me tell you something. I'm not buying that $6 a month insurance, and I do it every time. It's natural.
Yeah, you're putting yourself out there. You're taking a risk. But,
I found it works.
Yeah.
Turn it off.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one thing people can do to help heal.
Yep.
Heal those gaps.
Yep.
But putting out the word, the love, the something I've learned recently. Thank you, Mother. Is the phrase abracadabra?
Sure.
People, say it all the time.
Where does it come from?
Hebrew. I should have known because.
And you didn't know it's a Hebrew.
No.
How old are you, dude?
Come on. It's because they Americanized
it. Either.
They dramatized it. It sounds like more Hollywoody now. But abracadabra is really evra ke edabra, which is I will create as I speak.
Okay.
And that puts a bow on everything we just said. They figured it out a long time ago.
Yeah.
it just means
That's a good bow.
right. Yeah, it's
Very good bow.
I like it too. And again, appreciate Mom for teaching me this because it really does touch on a big part of my life. When you decide I'm going to do something, there's no guarantees it's going to happen, but there is a guarantee that you and your brain and your intentions and the people around you and everything you see is going to start coming together. All the parts are going to start being identified, and the things that you need to get to where you want to go are going to start coming together. Where you want to go down or whether you want to go up or sideways, the things that need to come together to get you to wherever it is you're aiming is going to start coming together.
Universe does that, doesn't it?
Yep. It doesn't mean it's going to take you to a good place.
That's right. No guarantees.
But whatever you're aiming to, you're going to start moving in that direction. And if you hear seasoned businessmen talk about success, one thing they all have in common is consistency. The reason is getting to move in one direction that you like to get to is not enough. You need to keep moving in that direction for a pretty long time to get to where you want to go. And the most successful ones say that might have been the most important part of the equation for them. You know, they say, I zig when the crowd zags. They say, I do this differently and I do that more specially and I do this more dedicatedly. But the vast majority of them would say, I stuck to it. Consistency.
Sure.
Keep moving in the direction that you were aiming for, and you will be, you could be the best of your field, or you could at least be as far into what you're trying to get to as you want. Some people want to be the best of their field. Some people just want to be the best they want, they can achieve. So
this hasn't sold 500,000 books. The only way I'm going to do that type of thing, or even get close to or attempt to get on that road, is to do book 3, 4, 5, 6.
Absolutely.
Because that was the plan. If I change it, why
just 500,000? Though?
I don't know. I'm just saying I'm not into why not. I'm into I know what I got to do. Is this where we use the bathroom?
Yeah, I think we'll cut here. That was awesome. Thank you for coming out.
I had a good time, man. We'll have to do this again soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we've got some other subjects.
We'll keep it healthy.
Because we got...
Folks know we can go another 4 hours. But we'll keep it digestible.
Because the things you were just saying led me to the word God. Because the God conversation, that was fascinating. And it's about God allowing and God... Why did God let that... I'd love to talk about that stuff, or how people... I'm not going to give away all my stuff, but basically, God lets this...
We'll keep that for another time.
Yes.
For now, get into reading book 1.
Yeah,
available
book
on Amazon.
Book 1's on Amazon, and book 2 is on Amazon. There you go.
Link down in the description. Ciao, people. Woohoo!
Ciao, Vito.
Nice.